Welcome back, everybody. This is Mark 160, I think, of Geeks Chasing Squirrels Across the Multiverse. My name is Greg. I am the Bat Daddy 52. And folks, I went to the chiropractor today for the first time ever in my life. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Like, he explained to me the difference between healing pain and medicating pain. And it makes a whole lot of sense. And let me tell you, because, medication's like whenever you see your check engine light on, but you put a picture over it so that way you don't really see it because you don't think about the problem then. You're just doing whatever you got to do to get it off your mind. Healing, like, medicating pain. Then there's healing pain, stuff you can do to heal pain, which is what this chiropractor's starting to put me on a path to do, which is going to be awesome. But first day at the chiropractor, holy crap. That stuff's amazing. Ross, I think I sent you a text whenever I got out and you were like, yeah, now you're hooked. And that's absolutely right. I've already got appointments for the next 6 weeks, 2 times a week for the next 6 weeks. I am hooked. One appointment. So
you, my sir, are a Pringles can,
and
shit won't stop now.
Yeah, it really
won't stop.
What's up, Ross?
Not much. I was pleasantly surprised this week by getting the wonderful Brazil drop of the Comic-Con going on there with all these trailers. So I know everyone wants to talk about that. I'm happy about that. It's been a week, so it's a nice way to kind of cap it off on a Thursday night.
I didn't even know there was a Comic-Con. That was the reason why all those trailers hit. Because I just remember one day it was just like, boom, trailer, and I was like, what's going on? But I was just.
But it's actually Brazil's a really big Comic-Con. Like, it's like the San Diego of the South America. I mean, I know that a lot of people or a lot of companies and properties were trying to really make a point to go down there and really like show force, and they did. So.
Well, I'll never be able to make it to the Brazil Comic-Con, I'm sure, but I am going to GalaxyCon next year in Raleigh, and I'm going to meet my other co-host here, Sarah, because I know she's going to be there too. It's going to be a good time. I'm working on my cosplay right now. What's up, Sarah?
Oh my gosh, fellas, it has been a hell of a week. I had to work was just mentally exhausting because I had to get on to corporate office to handle a few things, and that's always. And plus, my work BFF, he left, and I'm like, oh my gosh, but it's okay. I'm here with my brothers from another mother, so it's all good. And especially seeing those trailers. Oh my God, that just really, really made my day.
Besides talking about Game of Thrones and like being like able to know what I'm talking about, that might be the most exciting thing about the show this week is the trailers that came out for me, to be truly honest with you. And we're going to get to them. But before we get to them, I know me and Ross are the only ones currently watching Peripheral right now. They just had their finale. So let's go ahead and knock that out because we do have Cody and Kevin coming on later to discuss a lot of the stuff with us, and neither one of them seen that. So Sarah, if you'll bear with us, we're going to knock this one out real quick. It's not going to be too hard because, like Ross said, we can't really go super in depth because I still don't fully understand this show. I think I have a grasp on it, but I told my wife, she watched the finale with me, and she was like, this shit looks confusing. I said, yeah, it really is. I said, but the problem is I haven't been able to sit down and watch the whole thing. So I want to do that. After I finish Game of Thrones, I think I'm going to sit down and watch the whole series of this because I think Ashley wants to watch it with me.
How many episodes?
Maybe 10. 8. Or 8? Okay, yeah. But maybe then it'll be a little easier for me to watch as like one full movie because it's hard. It's so confusing to figure out some of the episodes while you're watching, and then to be able to remember it and watch other stuff and then come back to it in a week and pick up where you left off. It's kind of impossible. So let's dive into this finale. Yeah, it definitely does. Good show, but you really can't miss a detail because details are important.
There's so much that goes on in it, and it's the funny thing is that the two locations that they choose to actually tell the story in, they don't go far outside of those.
No.
And what they have done successfully is create. One of them seems like it's very small time, and it's North Carolina. It's like country leisure. There's not a whole lot going on. The way of life is totally different. And then you jump to the future, and they're in London. The whole world has changed, drastically changed. Not like, not the way that you would think that it would change. Like a end of world scenario type stuff happened, and then they came crawling back and created society to a new different view that you just can't create in your head. So all those aspects of the show are really good. I think all the actors and actresses, I think Chloe's knocking it out of the park. I love her. This role to me does not make it seem like she's a child star anymore or like a teenage star. She is definitely like a woman in her own right, and she has definitely taken over for this show. But I love all the other actors that they have in it too.
Mm-hmm.
The problem that I find myself facing is, once again, connecting the dots with the story, because that finale puts you in a place where you're like, okay, wait, what? uh, I, 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 I understood it a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but it took me a minute to start piecing it all together because I watched it last night. I don't know when it came out, but
I watched it about 2 hours ago. Yeah.
yeah,
So
okay.
yeah. Well, this finale left me at a point where it's like I said, I'm very confused with the show, but it left me at a point where like I think I have an idea of what's going on, and it makes me interested enough based on the actors and the performance and just the overall story I've seen so far that if I watch it all over again, then I think I can go into season 2 really happy and be like, okay, here we go. Because I'm not gonna lie, I was a little confused about Umbrella Academy, the first
True.
season that I watched about it, and I kind of had to rewatch that one to really get into it and really like it a lot. But from what I'm understanding at the end of this series, and Sarah, I hate this. We're gonna talk spoilers, but
Go ahead,
it's
guys.
the finale.
I'll catch up with you one day.
Yeah, don't worry. You'll get confused between here and there, trying to figure it out anyway. She they had everything on a time, like on a, I guess you would say, a document or some kind of record of like when everything happened, and that way they could use that as a map to control when to go back in time. But what she's done at the end of this series is taken that map and created a new alternate timeline where they can't find her, but she knows exactly where they're at. Am I in the ballpark of understanding that?
Yeah, because what she has done is basically created a tangent timeline,
Mhm.
and the trick is that she controls, like, no one else can figure out where she's going to be at or how this is going to work, but she's in one place now. The main timeline, the main trunk of time, will keep on going. And so when other people are trying to go back in time to find her, I guess you have to find out the specific moment that she actually made this change in order to figure out where she's going. Right. And since they don't really know that, it really opens up a whole entire
It does.
possibility of what the next season would be like. There's a lot of shows that I've watched. You mentioned Umbrella Academy is a good take on it. I think something like Altered Carbon's a little different too, only because you can jump so much through time, but you can still exist in all those different places. The way that this show has portrayed time, and it's not really travel, but it's
consciousness.
Yeah,
I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's probably the best word to actually use. And so, really making sense of all of that, I can't say whether or not I like the show a lot, simply because, like you said, I need to go back and watch it. Now that it's starting to get cold and there's going to be, weekends inside and stuff like that, like, I'm probably going to end up going back and try and give it another shot. Might wait until like the second season comes out. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure what the viewership is on this. I've heard nothing. Like you said, when we started watching this show, not a whole lot of people were really even onto it. So I would think that coming out of winter, there'd be a lot more people that have watched it, especially like after what's the other show coming out, Jack Ryan? Once something like that comes out and it's advertised, a lot of people may actually try to get on it. I'm not sure how many people are going to be able to follow it all the way through all 8 episodes, though.
Yeah.
That might stunt its viewership.
Yeah. Like I said, I think even if you see it in the episodes, it may still be a kind of a confusing show, but it's not like impossible to figure out. I mean, it's Inception's tough. I've seen Inception 1,000 times. I still don't know if I fully understand it, but it's a great movie. So I mean, it's worth it.
Same thing for was it Interstellar? Like
Interstellar, that's another one. Yeah. A few things I want to talk about this episode, just two specifically. One is the whole situation with Pickett not being killed. And we never really get an answer on that, but it does leave a thread open, and it's going to be interesting to see, because that was cool. Even though he's a bad guy, I like that character, and it's cool to have him back there as like in the real time Lex Luthor, in the background. Like he may not always be the problem, but you got to worry about him. And like if he's going to be like, if there's a problem, he may be behind it, and he could be behind it. So I like that as a character. And then his son with the guys on the train tracks, man.
Oh, it's his nephew. Yeah.
His nephew. Yeah. Okay. My wife was watching that scene in particular, and she was like, I was cheering it. I was, because like they deserved it. And my wife's like, that seems like he's the bad guy. I said, no, trust me. If you've watched this show, those three guys deserve this more than just about anybody, and that guy deserves to give it to him more than just about anybody. Even though he's acting like he didn't want to do it at the end, and he may not have.
Yeah.
It's because he's a good guy, but he has every right and deserves to give them exactly what they got. And that was really cool to see. I hate to see it.
I thought there was going to be
it's cool to see people getting run over by a train like that, but
Yeah.
I mean, I've been watching Game
I
of
hope you
Thrones.
die, and I hope you burn in hell.
Yeah.
I thought there was going to be something a little bit more parallel to how Pickett killed the gang members right off the bat. We got that one episode with the flashback to 2015 or whatever. I thought I was going to get something a little bit like that, and then you realize that they're on train tracks, and you're like, oh, he's about to screw these three dudes. Which, like, I was with you, same side of on the camp on that. Like, go ahead and let it happen. He called his wife. He had that little conversation, which she should have been freaked out, which she was on the phone.
Yeah,
but at the same time, he's like, all right, gotta go, bye. I'm like,
she's also a badass too, though. I mean,
she is.
I feel like she would have done the same thing in the same situation. I've seen her put two in Bob. So,
and there's so many characters that with 8 episodes, I said this when we talked about it before. I want more out of it. I want more character building on the ones that we have, because I do like the stories that they each have. I'm thoroughly intrigued by each of their stories, all the way from Bert and Connor and that whole clique, down to what was her name? She's got one of those hyphenated Southern names, but her and her husband, Jasper. Mm-hmm. And, look, dude, deputy should have killed him. You don't walk away when you don't know what a weapon does.
I mean, I if I was in this position, I probably would have thought that guy was dead too, though, to be truly honest with you. But you're right. You always double tap, right?
Yeah.
Always double tap. And
if you're given some space age, a future age weapon, you don't know what it does.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just tickling their insides, and they're in a coma while it's happening. I don't know.
So I wonder. We've seen a bunch of people get hit with this weapon a few times now. I wonder if this thing is meant to not be lethal, but just really, really mess you up. Weapon.
It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of like lethal weapons in the future. Because think about what you've actually seen. They got into the knife fight in the 8-layer thing in the last episode when they were basically trying to see what Connor and Burton were capable of. And were there guns? I'm not sure if there were guns.
I don't think there were. I think you're right. I think that was one thing they made it a point of is to try to make a society without, the fighting.
Well, the population is, a like a single percentile compared to like what it used to be. So, I would imagine that deadly weapons are probably not a thing. So they do have in the future, they have the 3 ruling bodies more or less. And Lord knows they clearly all hate each other.
Yeah.
Which is hard. Well, it's always a power struggle with greed.
Here's the thing I found about this show so far is I'm way more interested in the stuff that's happening in the present and able to follow it than I am the stuff that's happening in the future. Like when it's happening in the future, I'm like, what the hell's going on? But when it goes to the past, or to not the past, it's the present, like I can understand everything. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. This is intense. Like I want to see what happens. Edge of the seat. And then it goes to the future and I'm like, okay, what are we doing now? And I feel like that's a problem and maybe it's my problem. I'm not a smart guy.
No, I'm with you.
Claim to be. So, but I just feel like when I watch the stuff in the past, I could watch an entire show of just the stuff in the present, and that's a good show. Mm-hmm. So
I think that's part of the whole time jump thing is that it's almost like, imagine if you were to put yourself in a scenario where far enough in the future we actually have the ability to time travel. And then at that point, that's when people start deciding that it's okay to go back in time and start screwing with the timeline. That's where we were led up to this in this finale.
Right.
We were basically told that it's going to be okay. Well, it's not going to be okay, but these people are going to go back in time and start either progressing the jackpot events or delaying. Just basically creating chaos or sending all this tech back that shouldn't be there. And so they're screwing with the timeline already. And so when Flynn jumps to like a different time, that's where I was getting confused with trying to understand, well, if the past was already messed with, at what point does she know when it's okay to go back?
Are you in the mid? Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree.
And so
This is
here we
where
are,
time
Greg's
travel gets
favorite
tricky.
subject.
Yep, this is where time travel gets tricky, y'all. That is gonna have to be explained because they even showed me the tree and the branch, and visuals are the best for me. Like if you give me a visual of it, it makes it a whole lot easier to understand. They did for a brief moment, but they're about to mess that tree up. I think they're about to take a chainsaw to that thing. So I don't know, man. Season 2, I don't know when it's coming out. You're right. I haven't heard anybody beyond me and you talking about this show. I've talked to people about it, told them check it out. Nothing. So I don't know what the reviews are, what the ratings are. It was a good show. Confusing. I'm gonna give it another shot, give it a watch all the way through, and see if I can fully understand it. And I think if I can fully understand it, I'll enjoy it a whole lot more. So
Yeah, I like it as like an original story. I just need, you made a very good point. The feature is almost like it's written in Sanskrit or something that I don't understand, and so trying to decipher it and make sense of it is very difficult. But I do like the things that I've seen.
yeah.
I am a fan of what I've seen on the screen. I would like more. So hopefully, I'm on the fence whether or not I think that they would renew this show or not. I have heard nothing because I don't think anyone is watching it. And Amazon, once again, this is a side quest for them. Prime Video means nothing to their business. They just make whatever they want to make, except Lord of the Rings, because I guess now they feel like they want to build, beef up their streaming network. So
until their drivers go on strike, then they got to start worrying about the streaming service because that may be happening soon. We'll see.
Let the whole world go on strike. I'm fine with it.
I hear you. All right. Well, let's wrap this one up then, man. We'll talk about season 2 when it comes out. But until then, that is Peripheral. Let's hop
I don't. Sarah, does it sound crazy just listening to us talk about it? Because this isn't the first time you listen to us talk about it. I can only imagine.
It doesn't really seem that far fetched. I mean, I've watched some crazy stuff too. So I mean, I think it's something. I'm kind of like with Greg. It's probably one of those things where you need to sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
From start to finish, because if it's that in depth, a week to week, because even some of the stuff we're watching right now, week to week, it's kind of like, wait a minute. Like even today, it's like I had to watch the recap because I normally don't. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, okay, let's just kind of keep you want to stay in that moment right there so you can actually follow what's going on.
Yeah. Well, honestly, that's the way I feel right now about like Game of Thrones and Rebels. Like I can't imagine having to wait to re-see this. And I know that I do that with shows. We do that with Umbrella Academy, Doom Patrol. Like we wait weeks to see these shows and months between the seasons. But like with these shows specifically, certain shows, I can't imagine having to wait. And maybe it's only because I've seen them in binging mode. Mm-hmm. But like especially Game of Thrones, man, there's so much stuff to remember, and I've got a great grasp on it now. One, because I walked in with a little bit better grasp, but two, because I've been able to just watch it like as soon as this is over. I don't got to wait a week or 7 months for the next episode.
Yeah, it's between seasons that kill me.
Play and keep going, Yeah.
But it's so that's why I would always argue that point. Like where's the line between what's good to stream and what's good to binge, I guess, or like week to week first binge. Wednesday just came out on Netflix last couple weeks. It's a very good show, and it got tons of attaboy or whatever. A whole lot of people were talking very positive things about it, and I think that show really was helped by the fact that people could binge it, because it's not a show that a whole lot of people would go back and watch week to week. Yeah. Game of Thrones was that show that people went back and watched week to week. HBO has had those shows that were week to week. And you can say that, it's a whole lot to remember and a whole lot to follow, a whole lot to go back to, but people did it without question.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, if it's good, they will. And like I said, I would have for sure. It's just, and like I said, I think it's because I didn't get to experience it like y'all did, like where I had to do that. All I've had to experience is the binging and watching it like this. I've watched almost all of the whole series Game of Thrones in the last week and a half. But how long did that series go on? 8, 9 years? Almost? Like,
I think it was a little bit more than that.
Okay. Either way, like, and I'm just about to wrap it up in a little less than 2 weeks. Yep. So well, I mean,
case in point. I mean, think about growing up. I mean, that's what we were used to. We were watching, used to watching week to week. The only time you get to binge it is if you got a DVDs, or before that, the VHS. But it's just like when I discovered Flash and Green Arrow, especially Flash. I've binged I think the first 3 seasons. Mm-hmm. So then when I found out, I was like, oh, they're gonna have another season. I was very impatient. Yeah. I was very impatient, to say the least.
Yeah. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to walk into Arrow in like season 3, so I got to binge the first 2 seasons, and
Mhm.
it was just phenomenal. I couldn't
Yeah,
believe
I
I
think I
wasn't
did the
watching
first
it.
4.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's
just
what I'm
absolutely
saying. I
phenomenal.
mean, it's like this. The streaming has just like really, it's really spoiled us. It
Well,
really
It depends on the
has.
quality of the show too. I mean, I
Hmm.
think that's really my point, and that's what drives it home. So, if it's
well,
a good show that you're going to come back to and want to like investigate about, it'll work.
yeah, I think quality and type. I think a week to week model is better for like reality TV, sitcoms, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Stuff that's not so story driven. Not saying that you can't have a story driven what's up, Tim? You can't have a story driven model week to week, but I think that it's better suited, or at least I like it better to have if it's going to be something like Game of Thrones or something like that, where you're going to have
Hmm.
10 episodes that are very story driven and you need to watch all the details. I want to watch it all at once.
Hmm.
And I've had people with Andor saying that they haven't watched it yet till it's all going to come out, and I couldn't understand it. And that, I'm defeating myself here in this argument, but it's the same. So I can kind of understand that now after the stuff I've been binging lately. Like there's some things I guess people just want to see the whole thing one shot, which is why I don't understand why people complain about long movies. But let's see that more there.
No, that's a great point. That is the thing. When all of these, I'm not sure. I mean, I guess Mandalorian was probably one of the first ones that kind of came out in Disney Plus, but you know, Netflix always dropped everything, and when all these other streaming services came out and they needed to really come on heavy with their subscription base, the whole point was to drive it week to week. It works. Even like I said, I love Arcane. They did it in 3 different parts. I
Hmm.
thought that was a great idea. They did it in 3 weekends. They could have done that over, 3 separate months. You're muted.
I like that model doing it like that. The drop, and I love it whenever a show, if it's going to be weekly, if they drop like the first 2 or 3 episodes, that's great. Like dropping the first episode, it's like, oh, I can't stand that. I need a few episodes, but
MCU shows really did it for me. The fact that they were all of uh, the WandaVision and Loki. I mean, just I like them all, and I've come to figure out, like with Sarah was the first one with Hawkeye talking about not really sure whether or not she wanted to watch it, and then both of you guys weren't too crazy at all about She-Hulk. I understand there's a lot of things that interest you versus don't interest you
Mhm.
when it comes to taste. That's all personal, but I mean, like, that is probably the only thing that we can talk about that drives this conversation, is that it all becomes personal.
yeah.
No, and
I
everybody
agree.
has their own taste. It's just like talking about all the Star Trek, streaming that they've got now. It started with Picard. Well, started with Picard, then you had Discovery, and um, all that stuff. All that was story driven. So that's another thing where I was waiting week to week. I was like, oh my god, is it time? Is it time?
Yeah.
Um, and that's what's so interesting about what they're doing that, because especially with Picard, I mean, it wasn't really episodic. It was more of it was a story that they just kept continuing. That's where when you have Strange New Worlds pop up, and it's like, okay, that is episodic. That's when. I mean, I still waited, every week to see it, because I'm still loving it, because I'm like, oh, what are they gonna do next? So
It's good fresh content. I mean, that's the thing.
yeah,
It
absolutely.
it, it is good fresh content.
Mhm.
That really makes a big difference. Tim makes this point right here. He's sitting there talking about being an old man now. Go back to shows I love. I keep a comfort show list,
Yep.
and when I am at a point to where either I don't want to watch something, or I need a break from all the other new
Mm-hmm.
content, I will go straight back to it.
Yep.
And
That's why I got my Chuck.
Yeah. Oh no, it's hilarious because like me and Ashley, like I said, we're up till like 3:30 in the morning last night watching Game of Thrones, because the point I got to, it was like just after midnight. I had to work the next morning, and I was like, okay, I can watch this episode. And the next episode was Battle of the Bastards. Then the next episode was the finale of the season, and I was like, well, I have to watch these. And that's why I looked at her and she was like, I can't believe we stayed up this late watching this. I said, that's why when we want to go to bed, you put on The Office or Friends or Big Bang Theory or something like that, Seinfeld, something I've seen every episode a million times of. So if I fall asleep, I don't care. You can't put
Mm-hmm.
something on I care about and expect me to fall asleep. It's just not going to happen. That's
For
the
sure.
downside of streaming right there. But well, y'all want to hop into Titans? We got our mid-season.
Oh my
finale
God!
this week.
Yes, please.
Let's do it.
Do
Get us
we
started,
do
Sarah.
we want to hop into this?
Yeah, we can.
All right,
Well, there's
everyone
a
shave your
couple-
heads. Let's
There's
go.
a couple of cool things about Titans, this week,
Okay,
or at least
okay.
one. I can say
Speaking
one.
of that, what? Okay, so it takes a mirror and a laser. That's how he shaves his head. Yes, go.
Y'all
I
have at it.
was like, what
Have
in
at
the hell is he doing?
That's not how like Superman eyeball lasers work. Okay, laser beams, yes. Are you talking about things that actually torch shit? No. Sorry, saw it, didn't like it. Automatically gave it a middle
maybe
finger
he
right
has
off the
like
bat.
maybe he has like a dial where he can like dial it in or out. You know, it's just maybe that's on like the lowest setting.
Think about it. It's like flying. How does he fly faster? Does he give it more when he wants
He
to
does
fly
Kegels,
faster?
yes.
Like
Yes.
how do you do that?
He squeezes harder.
Look, I agree with you on the whole procedure of trimming said hair. However, I liked this Superboy way better than the Superboy we've gotten before, man. Way better than this 7-year-old. I don't know what's going on. Somebody
Little
love
bit.
me guy. Like this guy, like I'm cool with a good villain. He had a villainous act to him. He was like Lex Luthor. I loved it. The guy was smart. He was doing what he was supposed to do. Yeah, he rushed into things like he does, but that was him being like the old character, rushing into things. The first part he did with the satellites, that wasn't rushing in. That was using your brain and doing the right thing. Sarah's got some notes. I liked this Superboy, though. Go, Sarah.
I eventually came to that conclusion too, and that's what was really crazy. But like I said to you guys, Drakkar, did you really have to bring that shit in there? Did you have to really get that deep into? I was like, oh, we about to get serious now because I haven't heard that shit in I don't know how long. Yeah, so it's like as soon as I saw the head, I was like, okay, we're about to see, because it's always been Connor with his super Connor Kent, the whole Superman, that kind of thing, and so now I guess since we've already seen Luther, lost Luther, whatever, and like, oh, so we're gonna kick it. I guess them snakes kicked in on something. I don't know, but I mean it was really interesting because he had a lot of interesting little quips that he said.
I do love that he's like, Richard. And he's like, don't call me Richard. And he's like, you're telling me you prefer Dick?
And then he says, I prefer
yeah, that was great. That was great. I was like, because I thought the same exact thing when he said it. And I was like, okay, right before he said that, I was like, okay, I'm glad somebody said that. Like, you prefer somebody to call you Dick than Richard? Okay.
I was waiting for a good comeback. Like, well, I'm bigger than most people, so normally it's big.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, he was just full on legs. I mean, it was insane. I mean, it was just like a lot of the
Super Lex. That's what I called him.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it was like, I think where I was like really, but he had like all these little snappy comebacks. I mean, it was like he had this dead focus that was so opposite of what his personality was before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, because in the, the first, couple episodes, you see him that he's just like so unsure of himself, just like, oh, like straight up. I mean, he's got daddy issues, obviously, because
daddy's issues.
Who my daddy, that kind of thing. It's like, who do I take? Who am I more like? And I'm like, eventually, is this dude gonna? My thing for him is, are you eventually gonna find yourself? Or are you just gonna try to take? You've already kind of taken Superman's identity. Now we're gonna try Alexa's identity and see how that works for you. I mean, it's just like, I mean, it's literally like a kid growing up.
You know what it reminded me of?
He's only how old?
Well, that's
true. He's not super
and does
old.
He have a tattoo on his shoulder?
I don't know.
Does he?
Seems like I remember seeing it on his shoulder.
That would be a crazy needle, but I mean,
maybe he did a laser tattoo.
He can cut his hair with the laser. Yeah, why not? Hey, yeah, I want to say though, what it reminded me of the most is so funny is, okay, y'all have seen Shameless?
Parts of it.
Okay, the big big shaved head white guy that owns the bar in Shameless. No. He's like not part of the family, but like I don't know, he's not actually part of the family. He's just like friend of the family. Anyway, he played in a show called Reba too, where he played kind of a young dorky guy, and it's so funny watching him go from that comedy sitcom show to being a bald-headed badass in Shameless, and it's what it reminded me of Connor in this right here, going from that to this, and I was like, wow, okay. So I really like this character. Can we talk about the ending scene too, where they're all in this dam? I guess, or wherever they're at.
Oh yeah.
And they're fighting the person, and they're all standing around this, and the whole time, Sebastian's just holding this cup. I'm just sitting there the whole time, like, knock the cup out of his hand, knock the cup out of his hand. Somebody knock the cup out of his hand, knock the cup out of his hand. Somebody do something with Sebastian. Knock the cup out of his
him
hand,
out.
kick him, do something. Anybody, anything. You just got to last like 4 more minutes. That's all you got to do. And it seemed like they were all in the room, but only one person was fighting the bad guy at a time. You know, and I was like, what is going on? Even though we did get to see a gorilla,
Which, thank God, look, let's address the fact that number one, we did get that.
Yeah.
Number two, I guess it's got some comic book lore or something that's a little bit heavier than what I know about. But the biggest and most glaring fact for me was that that thing wasn't heavily green like all of the other things that we've seen VFX wise when he mutates into something. And so when I saw that, I was like, you know what? It's very CGI. Like it's very much fake.
very Beast Wars, Optimus Prime,
Right.
Yes,
But I'll buy it.
Yeah.
I'll buy it for this show. I'm okay with it. But man, like you're right. We did get more than just one person. Richard / Tick came in and he started to fight with the one non-powered person, and then you get Starfire and Raven fighting the other one.
You get a white raven.
Yeah. So that was
What's
interesting.
happening?
What's up, Kev?
What's up?
Not much, man.
Man, we just started talking about Titans. You're up to the Titans, aren't you?
Yeah, I just finished
Heck
it
yeah,
today.
man. We'll jump in, dude. We just started talking about let's see, we've discussed the new Connor and
CLX.
and how
His
CLX,
cruddy haircut.
and how different the ending could have gone had anybody just thought for 1 second. So hop in. What are you thinking of the show so far? Actually, I never got any thoughts on the show.
I loved the show when it first came out. And I don't know what happened. I just stopped watching it one day. I guess other things just started popping up when I watched. This ending confused the shit out of me.
Okay. You're not alone. Yeah.
I don't understand why Connor just turned into a dick. Like out of
Super
nowhere, he
dick.
turned into Lex.
Super dick is exactly.
Yeah.
Super Richard, we'll call him.
I guess
There
the
you go,
virus
there you go.
happened or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything about Titans really. Like I never watched a cartoon. I never read anything about it. The only thing I know is Robin was in it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super knowledgeable about it. I know the characters, and I've read bits and pieces of little things here and there, but I've never been a huge Titans reader. I've read big storylines, but never, But I agree.
Yeah.
But we talked about it last week. It feels like this show has gotten away from like what I really want. I mentioned last week. I think that instead of doing this Trigon coming back for the second time, it should have been Deathstroke. Like that should have been the big bad in the background that was there the whole time that they have multiple problems with. I feel like they just went too fantastical with it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fantastical characters, but we haven't seen the coolest stuff from these fantastical characters beyond their history so far. I like the show. It's the best looking show as far as costumes go that I think is of any superhero show on television. But the story is sometimes lacking with it.
Yeah, and I didn't really care much for the CW costumes. They always look like cheap Halloween costumes.
I liked Arrow's like around season 2, 3.
Yeah.
But then it started to get kind of crazy. It was like Power Rangers. Like the suits just got nuts.
very much so.
And it was like I don't know. It's kind of turning me off. Like you can only upgrade Tony Stark. Like the first like Iron Man suit in the first Iron Man movie, I think is probably the best looking one. There are other cool variations, but like you can only do so many things to make it look cooler. Like at some point, it's as cool as it's going to get. Like don't try to make it any
The first
cooler,
one's always going to look cooler.
Yeah. But, what else about Titans, y'all? Ross, Tim wants to know if that wall's fake behind you.
I mean, it's kind of fake.
Aren't all walls fake?
All walls are fake. Yeah. They're only real if you put your mind to it.
All words are made up. That's right.
Yeah. What's a word? The Jinx thing. Like Jinx got a hero costume and she died.
I know.
But she said
You
something
talk
really
about
cryptic,
costumes.
kind of like not again. Like
Yeah.
does that mean she's coming back?
She reminds me of the and mainly once again because we saw the trailer, or I saw the trailer. I don't know if you guys watched the newest trailer that came out for Doom Patrol. When you got what was the magic guy's name? The Constantine style dude.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
I keep wanting to say
talking
like
about.
Oh,
Wimley or
yeah,
something
yeah,
like that, but it's not.
But
It's something
when
like
he
that.
came in, that's where I was thinking. I was like, this, like him and Jinx would be like my best friends. Like that shit would work out really well together. So I don't know, man. Like the costume was weird because we don't get to see her or anything. We do get to see her, start to be a little bit more part of the team. So that was kind of cool. But man, as much as I dislike the magic that this season is trying to do, I like Jinx. Like it has gotten, like I've gotten on board with that character. And I really think that it would be a fun twist because she is the sassy person that you need in Titans. Titans has a bunch of like, woe is me characters. Like all these people are fighting their own past and their own lives, and they refuse to
all the
come together every single time they need to. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the things with me and Jinx is it's like I've seen this character a bunch. This is the same as Jinx and Arcane. This is the same as Harley Quinn. Like I've seen this kind of character. I mean, I like the character. She's a good actress and whatever, but I think it's more about her being cute for me. To be truly honest with you, it's like anything on this show with her, it's like I could do totally without this character, but she's a cute character, and I like there are little things that are here and there. So yeah, keep her on there. I don't think she's going to be gone. It does suck that we're going to lose a character like this, or we can get a character like this back in the show, but I can't have Hawk and Dove back. I can't even have Aqualad back. Like I mean, come on.
So,
Anyway,
did they die or what happened?
Aqualad did. Hawk
No, I'm
died.
talking about like this
Hawk
last
died.
episode.
Dove just left, right?
Yeah, she went to like France or Paris or some shit.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, she's going to be Parisian. She went. I guess her family was from there, and so whenever Hawk died, and she didn't want to be a part of it anymore because she actually was the one that killed Hawk, like through the whole Red Hood storyline.
Yeah.
It was a little tough for her to kind of come back from that, which she didn't want to be a part of it anyway. She always was trying to pull him out of it, whether she was trying to do it for her own purpose or clearly for his because he needed to get out. The fact remained the same as she wanted out of it.
Yeah.
Now that you have those characters gone, and really like who could you bring into this? It felt like a reach for the whole Jinx plot line, and I'm assuming she's going to continue to be a part of it come the second half of this, but like how and why, I guess, is really what I'm looking for. Why is probably the bigger question.
Well, I think there were a lot of questions unanswered with her as far as how powerful she was too, because there was moments where it seemed like she really had parlor tricks, and there was other moments where she would talk like she could do just about anything. Yeah, the teleport stuff, like all that kind of stuff. So I mean, I think that she's definitely going to come back. Like you said, there was that cryptic line at the end, and it is kind of tough to give a character a suit and then immediately kill them. But like I said, I guess they did it with Aqualad. You only saw him in suit like one time.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the flashback. But I don't know, man. This show, man, so strong the first two episodes, and I think I was just so happy for it to be back because I like this show so much. And then
I like the Lex character.
I did too.
Actor.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was a good portrayal of him. And in the first two episodes, I was like, all right, cool. We're coming in here strong. I hate they killed Lex, but you can always bring a character back, and it doesn't mean it's going to kill the show. But then it kind of started to go off the rails. The finale was, I like this finale better than like the last, I would say, 2 or 3 episodes. I don't know.
It kind of pulled together those last episodes a little bit too, as well.
Maybe that's what it was. Yeah.
Well, season 3 was a very big hit, like off the cliff jump from 1 and 2. That's what I think the problem was. But no, you're right. They did pull it back together. They did it pretty well. So it's just that it's very CW-y.
Yeah.
It is, especially with the break. And I think I even said that to Ashley. Like we were watching this and I was like, yeah, this is the mid-season finale. And she was like, mid-season finale? I said, yeah, they do a few episodes and they take a few week break. And she was like, also like CW? And I said, yeah, like CW. So
the guy who plays Tim Drake, he's actually the actor. He's in the Batman movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the first scene. Mm-hmm. I wonder if he's going to show up as Tim Drake in the sequel.
I don't know.
They kind of focused a little bit on him at the beginning, like zoomed in on him. Like
they did, and you're right. I think I asked that question whenever we saw him in the Batman movie. But the thing is that then you're getting into problems with continuity and actors. Like if you can have that guy come back,
That's a thing.
That's true.
Because James Gunn
like
just came out and said that his whole entire DCEU will be connected from live action to animated to other projects.
But how do you put Tim
know.
Drake into a beginning Batman story when Titans is post Batman?
That's the problem with that
You know?
Batman
It's a
story.
world.
They've already
Yeah.
said that Batman and the Joker movie, which I guess with the Batman movie also, if they're doing the Penguin show still, which I have not heard it being canceled yet, and we haven't seen anything official, but we have seen some like behind the scenes stuff unofficially from the Penguin show. If they keep all this stuff going, then all that's going to have to be separate. How long will it continue to run if he's truly like really trying to build a connected universe? With if we keep doing a Sparkle Bat, I'm fine. I liked that story. I didn't have any problems with them bringing it to light, other than the fact that they canceled the Joker line out of it. I really wish that they would have left that in there. We could have grown off of that. Mm-hmm. Now, I still haven't seen the Joker movie, and they already have the second one coming out soon. Which, I mean, that's something that I gotta get on. But where do we draw the line? Where will be the start finish line, and how are we going to keep these projects that are already in and continue to be in production moving forward with that happening?
They did have Ezra Miller meet the other Flash.
Yes,
they did.
They did. And I remember when that happened, I went nuts because at that point in time, you were still in that playground where you could have done that because that was still the Snyder vision is kind of going on. We have Aquaman, we have Wonder Woman, we have Batman, Superman. Let's intertwine these worlds type thing. And because now it's kind of gone off the rails with that because they've said, and honestly, not even in the movies, it really hasn't in the movies gone off the rails. That all the movies are still very connected. There's still Batman, like Batfleck merchandise and Suicide Squad movies. There's still references in Shazam movies, in Aquaman, in Black Adam. There was, Superman and Batman references. So that universe is still very connected. Where it's disconnected is the people behind it saying that it's not. But beyond the Sparkle Bat series and the Joker, everything else can still fully be connected and be tied into one story, and you can make it work. The problem is you have to go with Snyder's vision to do that, and they just won't swallow their pride and do that.
I think you re-sign the actors contractually. You get the people back, the ones that want to be in it. And here's the thing, you can't sign simple contracts anymore. You know what? The MCU was a real big gambling thing in the beginning because it was up and coming. It was a starter. They know that this stuff works. The issue now is that you have to make sure that you can get assets in that are going to be a part of this for the long haul. And then you got to think about what Marvel ran into the wall with, and a lot of people aren't understanding what this view of Phase 4 is really about, and that is, how do you proceed after that? How do you proceed after you have the stories of Batman, Superman, Aquaman, Justice League, all that stuff? How do you push past that? Mm-hmm. Because if you start bringing those characters in right now, and then you decide to side tangent to what are the people from the Black Adam show? What's the Justice Society? You start bringing in other stuff like that. At what point do the actors age out of being Batman, Superman, and stuff like that? Because you gotta look towards the next thing. And what most people hate is the fact that comic books can string these characters along for decades with no aging problems.
Yeah.
And that when it becomes live action, that becomes an actual problem for people.
Mm-hmm. I think stories.
I think Ben Affleck said he's done, right?
Yeah, he said he's done, but you know what? So did Henry Cavill.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, like
I think Ben Affleck would be more done, but yeah.
Well, we already know we're going to see Ben Affleck at least one more time, right?
Are we?
Maybe.
Well, it's supposed to be. You're going to see him. He's under contract for one more movie, I think, and I think it's the Flash movie. I think he has an appearance in.
If we see that,
so maybe.
But
I'm gonna keep saying,
yeah, maybe, yeah, exactly. If we ever see this Flash movie, but man, I don't know. It's like I said, it's one of those things near and dear to my heart. I love the Snyderverse, and I think that storyline's great. And once again, they're not out of the realm of continuing this universe. You don't have to go with Zack Snyder's story, but this universe he's constructed is still intact. Like they haven't exploded this universe yet.
They got a
So,
foundation.
huh?
I was saying they have a foundation.
Yeah, and they can build off it. So hopefully we'll see what happens. I just don't think that they need to tie in shows like Titans, Doom Patrol into this universe. I love the actor who plays like Nightwing, but give me a different Nightwing on screen. I want to see Nightwing on screen, but give me a different one because I would rather just have a different one than go through the mental math of trying to tie these together in my head and make it make sense.
This is going to sound stupid, but I've always wanted a Kid Robin. Like, I want to know what a Kid Robin would be like. And I don't need him to be, 12. Give me like Chris O'Donnell was, essentially
like
trying to
30.
be like an 18-year-old Robin at 30. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But think about how fast you could, progress that storyline. And you could age out a Robin super fast and give you Nightwing. Like, to put it on screen would not be that difficult.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to start with a young-looking Batman. And that's why I don't think that Ben Affleck would come back for the long haul because, he's not looking like he's in his 30s anymore.
Right. Well, I mean, look, what's his name? Harrison Ford is still playing Indiana Jones, so I'm sure Ben Affleck can play Batman as long as he needs to for whatever he needs to do. But the thing is, if you're going to continue with the Ben Affleck Batman, then you bring in a Nightwing, you bring in a Riddler, you bring in Robins that are used to be Robins. If you're doing Sparkle Bat, then you can bring in a young Robin and see him from a young point grow into that character, and that's where you can get those two different scales of that character, But you're right, we haven't had a good live action Robin yet. I mean, I'd love the Batman
Ever,
probably, but it's now I see it.
It ain't the same. It ain't the same.
And then we're going to talk about some stuff that ain't the same too, because I rewatched Willow for like the first time in 25 years. We're gonna talk.
I just wanted to say I had such a crush on Alicia Silverstone.
I watched it for the first
when I
time.
was a kid. Oh my gosh, she was so hot, dude.
Yeah.
And
But she was so corny in that role.
I know, but
I think
dude,
that was one of the worst acting parts in that movie, next to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
My kid brain could not care less. I was like crushing hard. That's the only thing I even remember about that movie, damn near.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Did y'all ever watch the Val Kilmer documentary?
Oh yeah.
Oh, about him
Kilmer
losing
Batman is
his,
Batman Forever, right?
Yeah,
You mean the
documentary.
one where he's
How he got the call for Batman?
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in the Batcave when he actually got the call.
Oh, nice.
He was like in a
Calling
cave
a red phone.
when he got the call.
That's what's up. Oh yeah. Yeah. I it's funny, just talking about Val Kilmer. Like I said, I watched Willow and just seeing a young Val Kilmer earlier today. I was like, wow, that's nuts. And then I was wondering about the show. I was like, do they have a special appearance in the show?
They won't.
No, I doubt they will.
No, look, to bring him back for Top Gun was massive.
Oh yeah. And I don't blame it either. Like I said, I understand the character can't come back, but
But I think
I think they already came out
actually-
and said he's not.
yeah, I'm sure he's not.
Yeah. If you've seen any of the behind the scenes stuff for his scenes in Maverick, it was very, very tough for him, physically and like mentally, just like trying to hold his composure and stuff like that. So, which, hey, I am not above saying that when you got some stuff like that in your life that you got to handle it, because that man has been massive to a lot of people. So many movies of our generation have been starring him.
Ghost in the Darkness. Oh,
so many. I tell you. I mean, all the way back. I remember going to see movies because Val Kilmer was in them, and like that was a thing.
Yeah.
So now that they're actually putting Maverick back in theaters for 2 weeks, I think, starting today. I'm pretty sure.
Trying to break some kind of record.
Well, I think it was just one of those. It's a slow time of the season, so they kind of put in movies that. I mean, that movie ran the box office for many weeks.
Yeah, I'd pay to see it again. Yeah.
Dude, Tintus is hilarious.
Let's go.
Dude, I've never heard knuckle kids in my life.
You never heard that phrase?
No, dude, and I'm definitely using it. Shout out to Tim. That's fucking hilarious.
That is pretty good.
I wrap up Titans, man. The only thing that was left was you talk about Starfire, who juiced all of a sudden. Now she's got massive power, and she's talk about suits. That chick's walking around with her suit nonstop.
Yeah, she
like-
never changes.
Yeah, which take it off and take a shower, please, for the rest of us. Rachel, we
Yeah, White
have
Raven?
Rachel the
married.
White.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Well,
Yeah.
you know, like you can't say it's not comic book accurate because that is pretty spot on for what the white suit looks like in the comics. But man, it's definitely a shocker. It's definitely a change.
Yeah.
So
Well,
what are we to assume that her power was trapped in the little crystal ball that that
Mhm.
Beast Boy smashed?
Hmm.
I don't know, but they had different scenes when they did the little Simba forehead thing, and that makeup was in different places on like different scenes, and it was really throwing me off.
Right.
All right, well, is there anything else about Titans? How long do we got before the second half of the season comes out, Ross?
I am not sure. I thought
Okay.
originally it was supposed to come out after Doom Patrol Part 1,
Oh,
but
yeah,
I'm
that's
not
right.
positive about that now. So I'll have to see. I'll have to do some more looking up and see what I can find.
Doom
Sarah,
Patrol
you got
starts
something
next
to say?
week.
No, I was saying it's like, what about the teleportation? Where I like poof? I mean, what was that?
What was the movie with Hugh Jackman? Or
Is that
was
what
it Hugh
happened?
Jackman?
I thought they just died.
No.
I think they were attempting to teleport. Yeah.
They just died.
I was trying to think like, how are they going to do this with magic? And they're like, oh, they're going to science,
I believe.
science the hell out of it. So, which I just wanted to see it. I didn't get to see it.
Yeah, that was kind of my thing. They explained it for a minute. They kind of
Yeah.
made it make sense to me, and I was like, okay, I kind of understand what's going on. It kind of reminds me of the teleport. What's the teleporter machine in Star Trek?
The transporter.
The transporter.
Transporter,
Yeah,
yeah.
like can't
Because
that
when
mess
they were
people up the same kind of
explaining
way?
that, I'm like, that's exactly what they're explaining.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I was like, okay, it sounds like Star Trek to me, and I've already accepted Star Trek as acceptable, fantasy science. So I'll take that. But yeah, it's like I said, this show, the finale wrapped up a few things for me, or brought a few things more together for me that made it make more sense. I was obviously going to go back and watch the second half of the season, but now I'm a little more excited about the second half of the season. I saw Brother Blood's costume too.
We should have seen him in this episode. Why didn't we see him in this episode? That should have been what they left off on.
It should have been. You're right, but I
No,
did.
it was
It's
just a
on the
loop.
internet, so I did see it on the internet. It's actually on the thumbnail for this show. So he's standing right behind Nightwing, but
Thanks.
it looks all right. I'm interested to see what they do with this. It's kind of Bane, Orbalisk on his face looking type thing, but we'll see what they do with it. So. All right, well, let's wrap up some Titans, and we got some trailers to talk about this week. Everybody's wanting to talk about these trailers, man, because I know we were talking about them in the chat I had with Ross and Sarah and the chat I had with Cody and Kevin. We were all talking about these trailers, and I was just going back and forth between all of us. So let's knock one out, man. I'm going to play the Indiana Jones background one on silent in the background, and we'll just talk about Indiana Jones and the search for Social Security. Here, let's see if I can...
I will come out and openly say I am pleasantly surprised with how I like this trailer.
Mhm.
I didn't think that it was going to be something after watching the Crystal Skull that I was really going to be too intrigued about. But seeing how they... Here's the thing about Harrison Ford. He's always been a heartthrob. And his acting has always been about the same. Whether you talk about the roles that he has played for Han Solo, for Indy,
Jack Ryan.
Peacemaker, like all these things, like all this stuff that he's been in, like he always plays a frantic action character.
Mhm.
He's frantic when the action
Fugitive.
starts happening.
Air Force
Yeah.
One. Yep.
Yeah, like all of these things. He's very much like I don't want to say scatterbrained, but he's very much like a frantic's the only word I can come up with.
He plays
pulls it
what
off.
it seems like an actual person would feel like, who's not used to experiencing these kind of things. To be truly honest with you, it looks more real. You know, so a real person will be frantic. Most people will be very frantic in those kind of
Yeah.
situations.
I watched something this week that was very, very informative, like to me personally. And so, like a lot of people talk about like PTSD, how it's like post traumatic stress, and like I have always had like this very lack of traumatic stress. Like there's not enough going on because when things happen that are crazy, like I've always been very calm. He's not calm under pressure.
No.
And I love watching it because he does all these things, and it's almost like luck is his number one weapon next to his whip. It's always been how indie works, and this movie looks fantastic.
Yeah.
It looks crazy fantastic. Maybe because I was so downtrodden off after Crystal Skull, but I gotta see it.
It does look really good, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't mind Crystal Skull that much, but to that point, I'm not really a huge Indiana Jones fan either. Like, I like the movies; they're good for what they are, but I feel like Indiana Jones gets a lot of passes for a lot of things that other people
I have been
harp
shot
on
at.
other movies for, and it's like,
Sorry.
I mean, I get it. Not every movie's made perfectly, but there are a lot of problems with Indiana Jones too. Like with some of the story and some of the way they portray things. And it's fine. I get it. It's not real. And I understand that. And I have to bend my rules a little bit to fully enjoy these things. But I feel like Indiana Jones gets a pass because it's like a nostalgia king. And it's a good movie,
Yeah.
but it's not a perfect movie, at least not for me. And everybody has their opinions. But I mean, I didn't mind Crystal Skull. I thought it was a pretty decent, revival of the character. This one does look exciting for me, but I'm also, like I said, I'm not a huge Indiana Jones fan, so it's not like something I'm going nuts for. Now, Cody, I wanted to ask you. I know you're a little
Yeah.
younger than me, man. How do you feel about Indiana Jones?
Well, my question is this: who needed this movie? Like, okay,
There are a lot of
like,
huge Indiana Jones fans. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like, okay, I know how like Top Gun, like that was the sequel that people didn't know that they needed, right?
Mhm.
And they actually did it well. It was a good movie. But with this, it kind of feels like the Crystal Skull was so bad. Like South Park did a whole episode dedicated to it and how bad it was. It's like, it almost feels like, all right, if Top Gun can come out and make a movie that feels nostalgic, but it's also a good movie, but then why can't we do it for Indiana Jones? I don't know. Like, I'm not a big time lover of the original movies, but I don't know. I feel like in today's world, you don't have to be a very thought out story with a complex set of characters to make all the money back for the studio. Like, you need Harrison Ford, you need the title Indiana Jones, you need a bunch of CGI, and everyone's going to come to see this movie just because it's Indiana Jones, you know? It's almost like an easy check for the production studio.
Oh, it's definitely gonna make some money.
And maybe
yeah.
Harrison Ford's last hurrah. Like, I don't know. The dude's getting older, you know. So I'm not sure.
That's what
He's
I
in his
kind of
late
feel. I feel
70s,
like
right?
it's just going to be kind of like that last hurrah, just to kind of since Crystal Skull didn't really, I think it really finished it out. So maybe this movie will kind of just go ahead and just finish out that series.
Yeah.
So that way, because we know Ford isn't getting any younger. So, but I mean,
He does in this movie.
Yeah.
Well,
Do y'all
there's
know
a
how this
theory
movie got made?
What was your question?
Like, who decided to make this movie? Like, was it Harrison Ford's love child and you wanted to come back and do this, or is like, do y'all? I don't even know. That's my whole point. Like,
there's money to be made in it. They did it.
Tim Tizzy says, "Leave that nice 7-year-old man alone, Cody."
come on, I love beating up
y'all
on
be
old
easy
dudes.
now.
He just wants to spend that.
I think
I mean-
Harrison wanted to make this movie, but I don't think that it was something that he was forcing. I think that he was on the fence about it, but he was wanting to do it
Yeah.
because I don't think that he was happy with the way that the Crystal Skull was going to wrap up the the group of movies. And to like Sarah's point, that does need to kind of bookend, but at the same time too, Crystal Skull was trying to do something that didn't work out very well, and that was bring Shia LaBeouf in to play young Indy, to carry the story on, to do the next generation. Same thing we're just kind of talking about with DC. How do you push the story on to make more off of it? Yes, you can call it a cash grab all day, but all of this stuff that we watch is a cash grab. Every
100%.
bit of it.
They have to make money. I mean,
It
that's all
doesn't
there is
matter
to it.
whether or
Yeah.
not you like it and it's your love child or not.
Well-
Like, it's all about money. So
Well, I was going to ask that same question because
There's
I
a
don't
theory
remember.
about it.
Okay.
There was a theory about what the story and the plot line was about. It has to do with time travel, and I think that's how they're going to revamp
no.
Indiana Jones with time travel.
No,
Like have a new
no.
Indy
Well,
come
I'm not
out.
really.
It is
I'm,
Are you
I'm
being
gonna say, I'm
serious?
not a
Like,
fan
they're-
of the title. I'm not a
they're
fan
really
of
talking about
Dial
time
of
I heard
travel?
somebody
Destiny.
say this.
Oh no.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
that's
dude,
just
that-
going to
down
further
bump.
enhance what
Yeah.
I'm saying about Indiana Jones. But oh no, please don't do that. And
No,
that
maybe
actually
that's
kind of
what
leads
they-
to the question I was going to ask, Ross. You kind of hit on it. Wasn't Crystal Skull or the last one that came out? Wasn't I don't know if it's, wasn't that like supposed to wrap up the story? Wasn't Shia LaBeouf supposed to like take over after that? That
Yeah.
was the whole
Take
point of
over,
that
yeah.
story, right? Was
That's
like
what they were
to
kinda
let him
leaning
take
to.
over. Yeah, and then I
He
guess,
Well,
is
it
the
he
was
final
even in
not
this
very
movie?
well
is
Read
Is he in this
whoever-
movie?
the
I'm not even
final
sure.
scene is Shia LaBeouf like literally picks up his hat, and then Harrison Ford grabs it from him and says, "Not just yet," and walks away.
I don't know, man. I mean,
That's how
you can
the
always
last one ended.
reboot stuff without rebooting it, I guess.
Dude, I'm just saying. I hope to add time traveling and vampires. Like go all the
Throw,
way.
throw a dragon in
Cut.
there.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Throw a dragon
Listen,
in there.
why
Why
not
not?
have aliens?
Look,
yeah, like
he's
if-
already
Last one
gotten
had
away
aliens.
Look, he's already gotten away from a bomb in a refrigerator and jumped out of a plane in a raft.
Oh,
Okay,
Yeah,
so
dude.
so
Go full
let's not poke too many holes at this.
Yeah, they need to make
Me
it
and my
as
friend were laughing at
ludicrous
that
as
movie in the theater.
possible.
Not in a
Huh?
good way.
Yeah,
Me and
I
my
mean,
friend
like I
saw
said,
that movie in theaters, and we were laughing not in a good way.
these are movies that I can go back and watch. You know, that I remember watching as a kid, thinking they were great, and then go back and watch them as I get older, and they just some of them just don't grow with you. Like honestly, we're gonna talk about Willow later. I don't know how well that one grew with me. I mean, it's better than Princess Bride, but you know, these movies just didn't grow. Like I don't know. I feel like I always compare these to Back to the Future because I'm a staunch defender in Back to the Future movies, all except for the third one, because I think they're just fantastic, and every time I watch them, I absolutely love
Same.
them.
I
But
love it.
I don't. I feel like those movies hold up. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe those movies established time travel in my mind for me, but like these movies coming from around the same time, a lot of them don't. Like I go back and watch them, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if it was just maybe because this was the best technology at the time. Like I had to keep reminding my wife about that when we were watching Willow this morning. Like this is a 1988 movie. Like I remember specifically in being younger, watching the scene where they're turning into pigs and being like, "Whoa, this is crazy." And now I go back and watch it, and I'm like, "Whoa, this is crazy." So times have changed. I think George Lucas is always about 30 years
It's like
ahead of
Batman
us
Forever.
technology. Yeah, I guess kind of like Batman Forever. Yeah,
Just
I can
put
still
on
go
the
back and find
heaters.
good things about that movie because it's Batman, but it's still it's rough sometimes. I don't know. All right. Anything else y'all want to say about Indiana Jones or the Indiana Jones trailer? Movie coming soon.
We still got Nazis, which
Always.
is relative.
It's a must with Indiana Jones. That's right.
It seems like
I'll
that's
still watch it.
relevant for
I'll
today's
still watch it.
Mm.
That's what I was saying. buddy.
Dude, how fucking crazy.
Yeah. I don't know if this is one I'm gonna go see in theaters or not. To be truly honest with you, I don't know if it will be. You know,
I mean, it's
wouldn't know how it is.
summertime. Who
I
knows?
think this is the type of movie you have to see in theaters. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, well, and see
it'll be
that
my first Indiana Jones movie in theaters if I do. Let's put it that way.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say to your point, it makes sense because I saw Crystal Skull in theaters and I walked out of there very pissed off
Okay.
because I was just very much like, what did I just watch?
This is
Do you remember?
it's an under the influence movie. Go to the movie theater under the influence of something else and just have a good old time.
Do you ever go to the movie theater not under the influence?
No.
No, I was gonna say that's like a rite of passage for me.
No
know?
doubt.
But all right. Well, let's talk about the next one then. We got a couple trailer drops this week. Y'all want to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
Hell yeah.
Okay, let me go ahead and play this one and we'll start talking about it. Go ahead and get us going, Cody.
So, okay, can I just say, you guys may have talked about this already in a prior episode, I don't know, but I saw the Christmas special. Oh my God, what a steaming pile of shit, dude.
Oh,
Like, it
fuck you.
was
That was so good. What are you talking about?
Oh, dude,
Oh,
it was so
no,
bad,
no.
That was
man.
good.
Y'all liked
was
it for what?
It was supposed to be
dude?
funny.
I was going to bring this up because I know you have
Yeah,
totally
I mean-
differing opinions on this. I still haven't
Oh,
watched it
dude,
yet.
it was just so like to me. That's what I'm afraid of the Disneyfication of the MCU, and it's like it just felt too campy and too hokey a little bit. And I get it, man. It's a Christmas special, but I don't know. It felt like a Disney Channel movie that I would watch growing up, like on the Disney Channel. Like it just, I don't know, man. It didn't hit the mark for me. Now this trailer, however, I'm pumped for, and I know you can't play the music, Greg. I love the song
Oh
that
yeah.
plays over this trailer.
Is it
Space Hog,
Space Hog?
in the
Yeah.
meantime, is one of my favorite songs
Yes.
of all time. I love it.
Yes.
It seems like this movie is going to be very emotional. You know, you kind of get hinted at Rocket and his upbringing and how they found him. And you know, it feels like as Marvel, as these phases push on, they're kind of moving away from all of their blockbuster titles that started the MCU, and they feel like they're coming to a close. Like I don't know what Guardians is going to be after this movie, but it feels like this is a winding down of Guardians as we know it these past few movies that we've seen.
If we get more Guardians, I am firmly in the belief that they will not be this Guardian lineup at all. There may be one or two that come back, but I'm pretty sure Drax is done. I'm pretty sure Rocket is a goner. I don't know how. I know. I don't know how Gamora is back, and I'm interested to see how, because there's a lot of her in this that just shows her back. She's just back. That's it. Like, accept it. It's here. It's there.
Well, that's how it kind of ended at the for Endgame.
Yeah, well, in Endgame, she popped out and went away, and she was off doing her own thing. So
Then again, they may, I don't know how much time has passed, or where this is set, within that period.
well, Endgame is supposed to be right now.
Uh-huh.
So as of, was it April of 23, you're supposed to catch up to the timeline. But even then, like, stories have been told like past that, like, Hawkeye and well, clearly like WandaVision, all those, everything comes after that. But what is intriguing is that with the Guardians, you get so much more backstory. Like what you get out of the Christmas special, out of Thor, you get all the Guardians trickled in here, there, and you get just enough to like make you interested in like what's going on. Where are they? So when I saw this trailer, I don't want to say I was confused, but now that I know that they bought nowhere, now that I know that they have lived their whole life. Guardians 1 and 2 was a 6-month time jump, and then they just showed up in Infinity War and Endgame. But I'm truly interested in what is going on, and I hate the fact to think that this is the last that we're going to get of like this lineup.
Well, when I saw the very first movie, I started, that very first scene, bawling like crazy. So I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if I bawl through this one too, because it looks like there's going to be
good.
yeah. Mm-hmm. It's probably going to take me 2 or 3 times to see it, dry. I can already tell you that right now. Especially the look on Rocket's face. I'm like, that is not boding well.
I know.
Do we know who the otter is? Like the otter that looks like his long lost brother that like comes up and hugs him at the end. Clearly,
I think that's his long lost lover is what that's going to be.
Oh, really? I
think
mean,
that's what it's
clearly a
going
part of the same test group that Rocket was a part of. Like I don't know. I have a soft place in my heart for Guardians because when these movies came out, literally no one in the world knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were.
Right.
Nor did they give
Still
a
don't.
damn. Like, like they were D-level characters in the comics, and the fact that the movies have been this successful, one, it's a testament to James Gunn. Like James Gunn is really good at figuring out the feel for a movie and the type of like comedy and the sense of humor that goes along with it, which is perfect for Guardians. I don't know how y'all feel about
Soundtrack was a
him
killer.
being with DC or whatnot, but yeah, I'm just I'm excited to see what they do. Groot is like a character that I think they can go a lot of interesting ways with. And my question for you all was Adam Warlock. Like, are you excited for this villain? Because in the comics, Adam Warlock is like a real big deal.
Yes, yes, because he got teased from like the very first one.
The end
second
of the
one.
second one.
Was the
Second
second
one,
one?
Yeah,
I mean, either way, he's been teased, so it's kind of like, all right, let's. I've been waiting for it.
That's what I think that I hate about this. The fact that they're bringing him in this one, and this could be the end. So I hope that the character of Adam the Warlock is not finished off in this movie. However, I also I have not gone back and looked after only watching the trailer one time, not even counting this time, to look at Adam Warlock to really I don't want to say like to understand
Yeah.
whether or not how comic book accurate that he is. I'm more interested in what it's going to be like on the big screen. So I just don't want to see him be a one and done character.
What do you think about the actor?
The actor has tons of flexibility. I mean, he's always been heavy on the comedy side, but I think that he can pull it off given the right scenario. Look, Sarah just said it when the first game of Guardians of the Galaxy movie came out, like it twisted everything that we knew about the MCU sideways, and it worked.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm totally on board with what James Gunn can possibly, drill out of all these characters.
I just know him from We Are the Millers.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I've seen him in.
He's done quite a handful of things, but he's normally like a background character. But I think he's got the devotion and wherewithal to really, put something big on screen for sure.
Well, I have a hard time judging a lot of characters before I've seen them actually play the roles, because I've been fooled a lot of times by a lot of characters when I've heard the casting, and I was like, no, that's not going to work, and they've blown me away. So I'm all in the camp of until I see it, I can't really I can think that I'm going to like it or think that I'm not going to like it, but I'll never cast a full judgment on it until I actually see the character in the role.
Especially after Heath Ledger.
That's always the one I go back to the most, for sure. But yeah, it's man, a lot of different actors can pull off a lot of different roles. I just saw Daniel Radcliffe pull off the best Weird Al Yankovic ever.
Was it good?
Oh, it was fantastic. If you're a Weird Al Yankovic fan, that movie is phenomenal.
Hey, where did you watch it?
It's on the Roku channel.
I heard it's all like made up stuff too, which is
some of it's made up, some of it's real, and they don't let you know what it is and what isn't, and that's the fun
Roku
part about
free? Is that a free app?
If you have a Roku TV, it's free. It's on there.
Okay. What about just like on your TV or your PlayStation if it's not?
I'm not sure. You might be able to get it for free.
Okay, I'll check it out.
But yeah. So I've seen characters play a bunch of different roles that are really, really well. Look, Guardians of the Galaxy is weird for me because, like I said, the first one is one of my all-time favorite Marvel movies. The second one I don't care so much for. Mixed feelings about them in the Infinity War and Endgame. Some things I like, some things I didn't like. It's cool, it's whatever. I think they can do a lot of things with these characters, and this movie does look awesome. So I'm really excited for it, and I think that I'm going to end up enjoying this movie. If they end up ending some of the stories of some of these characters in this movie, I understand. You're right, Ross. It is kind of weird bringing in Adam Warlock at the end to do that. But if they're going to progress Adam Warlock as a character, he could be the reason that some of these guys are gone. And at least that's a solid reason. Like, you got people who survived, the Infinity War, and they get killed by Adam Warlock. That gives that character a little more clout. Not
just that. I also think that the Guardians is a ever-changing team. So just like anything else, you can keep it evolving and moving and it be okay. We finally get like an adult Groot back. Look, after the Christmas special gave us, like I said last week, Power of the Force Groot. I mean, dude looked like he was swole as hell coming out of the gate. And I'm interested now, now he's firing weapons like crazy. Look, in the first movie, we saw Groot just be a gigantic twig that destroyed, but he was dumb and numb. Like he had nothing really to him. He was just a fun character. And then at the very end, he ripped your damn heart out.
Yeah.
Like, you talk about flexibility of character that has all CG and a voice that has 3 words, 4 technically, but man.
How much does he get paid to say those 3 words? A lot of money.
I'm sure a lot.
Yeah.
A ton of money. Man.
Not as much as Fast and Furious, but enough.
Shouldn't be as much as Fast and Furious, though. For saying 3 words, I'd be a little upset if he got paid anything close to what he gets paid in Fast and Furious just to say 3 words.
I don't know. I think after a while, you get really sick and tired of hearing someone say, all right, do it again. All right, do it again.
Yeah.
It's probably at this point, it's probably more of an honor to be in a Marvel movie than in another Fast and Furious movie, though.
It's funnier
Well,
because I
not
could
for
see
him, but yeah.
him having to say it different ways too. Like, say I am group sad. Say I am group happy.
Right.
Say-
Oh man, I imagine that's a great casting call. But all right. Well, is there anything else y'all want to say about the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer? I haven't even pulled up the final trailer yet, which is Beast
The-
Wars. Oh man,
The Teletubbies and Power Ranger suits. Like, what's up with their M&M suits, man? Or their Skittles
Oh,
suits, I
that's
guess is a better way to put it.
no. What's that game called? No,
Uh,
there's like
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
yeah.
Where
You were
there's like
gonna
a
say
robber,
it,
and you got to
Greg.
pick the guy. You got to pick the guy who's the.
Oh,
I want to say Among Us or something like
Among
that.
Us, yeah.
Among
yeah,
Us.
Among Us, yeah.
Yeah, that's. I felt like that's the game that they were spoofing with those outfits. I don't know if that's what anyone else thought, but Among
The
Us.
Wolf
was
Among
really-
Us.
Yeah, it's like you play these little spacesuit dudes, and you have to find who the saboteur is. It
the
kind of
game that
felt
gave
like
us sus.
Yes.
Why?
That's what I got from that, but I don't know. It seemed. I mean, my overall view was it seemed to me like they're trying to wind things down, and I don't know if they're gonna kill people without a warlock or how they're gonna go about it. But even with Thor, Thor was a part of their crew for a minute, and you think that would work out, but in my opinion, it kind of didn't. And that last Thor movie also wasn't the greatest, in my opinion. So I don't know. It's that they're each and every individual franchise is trying to find their own continuity and their own way forward. And I think a movie like this is the Guardians' way of resetting everything that they're gonna do.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because you say that this trailer seems like they're kind of winding it down, and it does. But I thought the same thing about the Thor trailer. When I saw the Thor trailer, I was like, they're winding this character down. Like they're about like you're gonna. I thought for sure that was gonna be Hemsworth last Thor movie. I was like,
Chris
yeah,
Hemsworth.
Hemsworth. Yeah, I was like he's they're gonna figure out a good way to write him out of the story in this movie. And they did write a Thor out of the story, but it wasn't him, and it kind of surprised me. So I don't know where they're going to go. The problem is they'll never, ever, ever, no matter how hard they try, be able to recreate the Infinity Saga storyline.
No,
they won't. They'll never be able to top it, and that's cool. I'm okay with that. Like I got that. Give me good stuff, but they'll never, ever, ever be able to top that. But I want them to keep trying. If they don't keep trying, then something's wrong.
They're just gonna. There just has to be the next thing. And as much as it took Phase 1 to build into the Infinity Saga, the next thing will come, and 10 years we'll either be texting about it or still here doing this and talking about how 10 years ago I never would have seen this happen. Who knows?
Actually, I have to correct myself there. I said they'll never ever top that. They can top that. Give me a really, really well put together House of M or Avengers versus X-Men story where you build up to it really well and it's told really well. Then that may be able to beat the Infinity Saga or at least match it. But man, they got a long way to go before they get there. Not saying it can't happen. Long way to go before they get there. So we'll see what happens. Well, y'all want to move on to the next trailer here? I got Beast Wars, which is oh man, this one's a little near and dear to my heart right here. This one's kind of an old one for me. I used to watch. There's certain shows you used to watch when you got home from school. There's certain shows you used to watch getting ready for school in the morning. And the computer animated Beast Wars show came on every morning getting ready for school. And I had a little 13-inch Daewoo tube TV in my room. And every single morning, it had that Beast Wars on. And it was absolutely phenomenal. Loved this show so much.
That was my favorite of all time.
Oh, my gosh. So effing good. And here's the thing, is the Transformers movies are hit or miss, okay? Like, I really liked the first one. I was like, man, this is cool. They're bringing it. But it is kind of a CGI salad. Then you get to the second one, things started to get kind of crazy. I started to kind of fall off after that. I've seen the other movies, but I couldn't really tell you anything about them. I hadn't really paid much attention to them. This one right here, I think I described it the other day as a CGI salad with a perfect like nostalgia vinaigrette dressing for me. Like this one looks really, really good. I'm gonna hit play, and then Sarah, I'm gonna start off with you on this one. What are you thinking about Beast Wars? I saw you holding up Cheetor there.
I am so excited to actually see a finally live action Cheetor. That has been my favorite character ever since I saw him from the first moment. Because for me, I would watch it in the afternoons. Can't remember if it was before or after Power Rangers. So that was, yeah. I think I kind of tweeted about this too. I still remember seeing, Optimus Prime, like the first like live action transformation. So I cannot wait to see Cheetor's like first live action animation. But you're seeing Optimus Primal. Now I'm really interested
so cool.
like in his size because I mean, I guess if you think about it, I'll have to see how they look, side by side with like like this right here. To me, I guess it makes more sense than the animated did, to where they're almost like the same size, in their form.
You mean like this right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like, because if you actually saw the,
you can't shrink the matter. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like when you actually saw the in the animation where they actually went to the arc, and you remember when you saw the first gens, and then it was like a big size difference. So I mean, I'm kind of glad that they're kind of keeping that to where everybody's about the same size, because it just makes more sense.
Right.
We're looking at. Only thing I didn't see is Predacons, and I know this is a treat. This is a teaser, so I'm dying to know what the Predacons are, because you can't have Maximals without Predacons. I mean, that's just that's against the law. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I want to see some Scorponok, some Waspinator. Give me all that.
And
stuff.
I want to see some Black Arachnia too. So, and
yeah,
are we going to see? Oh, sorry,
there was a Cheetor.
I just had to.
That's the thing about it, right? Like it's like the actual Beast Wars. That whole storyline took place way before like current time frame, right?
Mm-hmm. Because they were like on
a
like some other. It was almost like a prehistoric type thing.
Mm-hmm. Which I think would be a good twist, because I think that what really holds back the Transformers movies is that they're too grounded in reality, and if you were able to take them out and put them in their own little space, would work out really well, because it's always been the story of good versus evil, and dude, if there's anything that I remember about the actual the Transformers Beasts, when that whole entire 3D animation show came out, it was that it was like a massive divide. The problem was that the internet wasn't on like a big existence yet to really let fandom do a show of force and say that we hate this and this should not be accepted. But Beast Wars was enormous, and not only did it change Transformers, I guess, as a whole, it was a really decent story.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people really like it because of the story and the story alone.
You care about the characters.
If you were a 90s kid, you grew up watching the Beast Wars. Like for me, I never got into Transformers. I was into Beast Wars. Like I knew Optimus because of Optimus Prime. I knew, the Cheetor. Like those, to me, that's how I fell in love with Transformers. And I'm interested to see what they do with the modern day and blending it with the current. You have the ones that still looks like they're transforming into vehicles and whatnot, but then they're also doing transforming into the animals. It seems like they're also doing some time stuff with this. We've been here throughout time, through different eras of human species. And I'm interested to know what it actually means for the story. Like, why are they turning into the animals? Is it a continuation of the other movies, or is it just like a standalone thing, kind of on its own now? Like, where does this fit in? Is there any more canon to the Transformers movies? I don't know.
That's why I think you got to pull them out.
I never really watched the show. I just remember having the action figures. I knew nothing about the show.
Yeah.
I had a rhino that turned into a guy. I used to play with him.
Hell yeah.
Yes, and Ronox was in there too. We've already seen him. But it's
So-
like I've got to have Rat Trap too. There's just certain things I've got to have.
Yeah, Rat Trap's got to be in there, man. Got to be in there. Cody, you raised a great question, and I don't even. I don't know. Is this a Michael Bay movie?
No.
I don't know. Is he still doing Transformers?
Thank
I
God.
hope not.
Mm-mm. Actually, the guy that that's directing this, I think, because I was kind of looking up on IMDb because I was kind of curious too. He actually directed Creed 2. So he's kind of like and then he had another film I think called The Land or whatnot. So I mean, he's a different. I think there's going to be a different little feel to it. So maybe it's not going to be as much as blow them up every square inch of the screen, which I'm fine with that. I mean, it's like
Ryan
they had a
Coogler
good
didn't
time.
direct
But,
Creed 2? Ryan Coogler, he didn't do Creed 2?
oh, let me see.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I thought he did the
Coogler
first two.
Well, I thought he was doing number 3 too.
No,
I didn't
Michael B.
like
Jordan's doing 3.
Oh,
directing it.
cool. See, but Michael Bay, when he was the director, I hated the animation. The animation for all of the Transformers, like it was so clunky. You couldn't really even tell like
Mhm.
what was going on, what was transforming into what. Whereas the models for this, they seem much cleaner to your
Well,
naked eye. They're easier.
I think that's
to
a
look
testament
at.
to time. Like that's definitely an evolution of the process. And when you bring something like the Transformers to live action with humans on screen, it
Right.
is definitely a teething process. I never watched past the third Transformers movie. I haven't seen. I don't even know how many there are. No, that's not true. I did watch Bumblebee, but I did not watch the rest of like it was Age of Extinction, and I think that there was another one in there. I could be wrong. Not my jam.
Once Megan Fox left, I kind of left.
And she was done in the second one. So
Yeah.
the third one was, I don't want to say it was. Look, we all know what these movies are, and that's why I make it a point to say that for me personally, I think that they would be a lot more enjoyable out of being tied to like humans, being tied to like current time, whether or not you can
Right.
put them in their own space where it is literally Transformers versus Transformers. Because I watched the actual cartoon way back when. It wasn't a big thing, but it was as much as like G.I. Joe was in my life. And yeah, when Beast Wars came out, it was evolutionary. It was not. It was revolutionary. It was amazing. First time you start getting 3D animation, and not only that, but it was so good. And it was the first thing that was on in the morning. Like Greg said, watched it before school, loved it. You wake up to it, and it made you want to wake up for something that you didn't want to go do.
Yeah.
And that was
It was a new type of animation too, because I mean, you really didn't. That was not really the norm then.
This marked the time frame for 3D animation for me. This, well, not this, but Beast Wars did. And what I think that this show or this movie could actually do is create a universe where they put something like Beast Wars on the big screen. Whether they turn it into a TV show, whether they turn it into a movie series, I don't really care, but I like the idea that they're gambling and they're advancing to this point. Transformers kind of wrote its full cycle. There wasn't a whole lot more that it could really do.
Well, the director is Stephen Capel Jr. And if you look, and I was looking at the producer list, and of course our buddy Bay's in there too. But there's a whole another line of them.
Yeah, I think he has to be, like, even though he has nothing to do with it really.
So I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, this, what does it come out? It comes out in June. So this comes out a couple weeks before Indiana Jones, and I think I don't want to be an asshole that says this, but if I'm going to go see one on big screen, I might go see Transformers on big screen before I go see Indy on big screen. But once again, it's summer too, and every once in a while, it's nice just to go see a movie.
Well, I
Yeah,
can
I mean,
guarantee I'll
is
see Transformers. Guarantee it.
Yeah.
And I know this
Yeah.
little one I have sitting here on the couch right here. I guarantee he's going to want to go see it too. So
Transformers is definitely higher on my list than Indiana Jones. But
I'm going to see both. I'm going to go
I
ahead and tell you
think
that.
I think Michael Bay is a producer the same way Christopher Nolan was for Superman,
Hmm.
Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
he didn't
and
really.
George Lucas for Willow. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. We
Which-
have. What's that?
I was going to say I finally saw Willow for the first time, the movie.
Oh, you did actually watch the movie?
Yeah, right before the show.
I'm gonna jump into that in just a minute, but the only other things that we got like trailer wise before we get into Willow, there was an Ant-Man special look, which was really just like a anthology of like all the special clips put together for the new Ant-Man movie. We got the release date for Mandalorian, which I had the release date as right around Valentine's Day, but now apparently it's the 1st of March.
Mm.
So we get what's the animated show?
Bad Batch.
Bad Batch. We get Bad Batch in January, and that's supposed to be 16 episodes again, which looks like it's going to slightly overlap with Mandalorian. And then I don't know if you guys know this. Greg popped out because this is something that I was going to talk to him about. But I don't know if you saw the trailer for Cocaine Bear.
Oh hell yes!
But you want to talk about crazy?
That's Ray. I can't never pronounce his name. Last movie, Ray
yeah,
Liotta.
Ray Liotta.
Yeah.
Yoda, yeah.
His final movie is Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, and talk about a bookend on your history right there. No, it's Cocaine Bear is a real story. I remember hearing about it like when it happened, and they said that at that point in time when the bear had actually taken the cocaine, he was considered the apex predator on the continent, much less probably in the world, for however long it was before he actually like died. So
when does this
this
take place?
Tennessee, I think, is what it was.
Well, I mean, like what year? Like, is it in the 70s?
No. This was the event actually happened in the past couple of years,
Oh, shit.
and I think that it is sticking with that actual timeline. Only thing is that they are extremely dramatizing the actual events.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's very funny. It was very. It's crazy to think like what would happen if you put something, like a bear underneath the influence of something like cocaine and just going crazy. We've watched all these movies like what was the one with Jason Statham, Crank, where he had to like keep his heartbeat up. And so I think about stuff like that and like what would happen if you put a bear or like a lion or something in like in that situation. So just watching that trailer was it was near and dear to my humor side of my heart is what it was. Not to mention watching him tear everyone apart. So
it's another
Did you see
under
the
the
Grinch
influence
movie?
movie.
I saw the
The
Grinch
horror?
trailer. Yes.
Yeah.
That is so. Now that all of those properties have come all open, whatever the other word I want to use is, they're all public domain. It's Sarah, which one was the one we were talking about on here before? The Pooh one. So Winnie the Pooh.
Blood
yeah.
and Honey. Blood and Honey.
Yeah, blood. Yes. But now you see the Grinch, and the Grinch is actually the Grinch killed this family's mom, and the daughter has been crazy about like self-defense, like everything the whole entire time. She's just been like completely distraught, and then the dad's going to take her back to the place where the events actually happened. And so the whole movie is basically, I mean, it's how would you compare it to something?
It kind of reminds me of almost It, because it takes like 20 years later, come back to the old town. It's called Mooville instead of Booville.
Yeah. I don't know. I was thinking like almost like Nobody. Like all of a sudden she's going on like a killing rampage. I don't know, man. It's crazy.
They're also
That
making a Bambi horror movie.
Yeah, I
I've
saw
heard the
something like
whispers
that.
of that
Yeah,
too.
they're just going all out on them. Let's just go the whole opposite side of the spectrum and just revenge.
Yep.
By the way, Greg lost power. That's
Oh,
why he
Oh shit!
fell out right quick.
Greg's gone.
oh no.
Damn,
Well,
before we even got
unfortunately,
to nerd out on Game of Thrones.
he'll find a way to be back. Just tell him to
Yeah.
jump back on his phone.
Yeah, that's what I'm using.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really, we get into Willow. Sarah, you said you watched the first episode of Willow?
I did. It's been years since I've watched the movie, but the very first episode, it kind of gave you a little background. So I was like, oh, okay, I remember this. I remember this. So yeah, it was kind of like when I saw Val Kilmer, I was like, oh, because I was thinking too, I was like, if it was possible, it would be fantastic to have him at least one snippet within here. But like I said, I don't think that's going to happen. But
I think
maybe
they said
could,
that it wasn't. I think they said they didn't film anything with him.
well, I mean, maybe they could pull like some kind of like de-aging or something, just to kind of show like a little flashback or something of. I don't know. I thought it would. I figured it would be kind of cool to throw that in there, but.
I first thought it was him in the prison in the first episode.
You know what? I kind of thought that too because I was
Mormon,
like, I just
yeah.
thought that was kind of odd.
I don't know. The whole entire scene,
Piece together who everybody is.
Yeah.
The fact that she went in there and sat down and was just having a conversation with the prisoner was odd in itself.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
The fact that this is based on a true story is the most perfect thing ever. Like, of course this happened, right? We're not
Willow?
talking about cocaine right now. No, my bad. My brain was still on cocaine bear.
I was like, hold on. When
Wait a
did
minute,
Willow
I missed
happen?
something?
Yeah. Willow happened for real, dude. It happened in Florida, where all
there you
crazy
go.
things do happen.
It would happen in Florida.
Right?
No, I think that I watched the movie when Disney Plus came on, and I thought it was only like a couple of years ago. It's been apparently more than just a couple of years ago. So it's not only is it I don't want to say timeless. Greg was considering it Game of Thrones light, is what he kept on saying earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, but man, like this came out before Game of Thrones, and like was pretty steeped in like a lot of its cinematography, the visual aspects of all of this, and you get a bunch of that kind of translates to other things because it feels nitty and gritty and dirty, and it feels like it should for the time frame. That 88 movie was actually done pretty well, minus if you take out the way that they did their fantasy aspects with, even if it were live action effects, it was a decent story. The 80s was a prime time to tell crazy fantasy. It
reminded me of Dark Crystals.
Yes, yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. It's kind of right on the cusp of being able to have just enough visual effects to make a screen transition work out pretty well, to where like you could throw some like whirlwind looking things in there, and then all of a sudden you take from one cut to like another cut, and all of a sudden someone's there or someone's not there, or you transform them into a mouse or whatever the case may be. All of that stuff that was happening in the Willow movie actually worked in the 88 flick very well. Problem is that it's not a movie that really sits in people's conscious for very long.
Yeah.
Like, it's not something that people keep going back to. I'm a big fan of the Fanboys movie, the Star Wars Fanboys movie, and I love the they go into the vault, and all of a sudden there's all the Star Wars stuff, and there's Willow's book and Willow's wand, and everyone's like, fuck Willow, like no one cares about Willow, like we're all here for Star Wars.
I honestly didn't get that reference watching that movie. I was like, what the hell is Willow?
Gaia. It was good, but I don't know. You have the way that they were able to bring it to tow real fast for the actual show was pretty good. They didn't sit on it too long. They just told the story enough to recap and put you where you need to be. The
Mhm.
characters, like, if you want to talk about the Elora character, like it seemed pretty dead on the nose right off the bat. I didn't feel like I needed to dig into which one was who. And if you're going to do this show and tell a story, you don't want to sit too much in like the past lore. And that first episode, actually, did you find out in the first episode, or did you
Mhm.
find out in the second?
Mhm. At the
Okay,
very
I'm,
end.
I'm,
Mhm.
I'm trying to remember where the
Mhm.
cutoff was for the second episode.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make you sit and wait for it, because I'm pretty sure. Let's see, Willow is 8 episodes, so we only have 6 more. 7 for you once you finish the second one.
Mhm.
It's not going to be a very long story. I only worry that, and to me, is it too much humor? And are they straying a little bit too far away from what the original Willow plot was for people?
Yeah, that was the one thing I picked up on too. I was like, damn, this humor, man. They're just kind of like just like
Coming
okay.
hard with
That
it.
I mean, it has some cute little quips in there. Don't get me wrong, but some of them were very well timed. Some of them were like, And then of course we have our little surfer dude.
Yeah.
Please tell me what's up with those shirts, dude. What is up with those shirts? How can you have fabric like that in this time? Because I was like, when is this time period? Because it's the costumes and everything else was just not matching up for me. It was just kind of weird.
It's different. Like it's enough to. Here's the thing. I fought with this argument earlier because I was trying to figure out how to respond to one of Greg's text messages, and it's how do you argue how well the old movie is with everything that it brought to the table, and then talk about this new next generation Willow that is bringing all sorts of stuff to the table. Like
Mhm.
how do you balance that out? And I don't think they've really struck a balance with it. And even when you start with what's her name, Erin Kellyman, you start bringing her character, the redhead, in,
Mhm.
and like all of a sudden now you have the princess and her want to be in a relationship, but they can't stand the way that each other are doing things. Like everything is just happening so fast. But I also don't know, judging by the flashbacks, which I don't know if you've seen yet, how long this show is planning on trying to run for. Because if they're trying to make Willow run for like 5 seasons, which they could, they're essentially just, Fellowship of the Ring going on a journey and doing their own thing here. How long can you do this, and how long do you want to do this? I'm not sure.
That redheaded girl, she's in everything. She's in
She
the
is.
Marvel and Star Wars.
Mhm.
She was in Solo, and she was in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
Yeah,
still don't know her name.
Erin Kellyman. That's her name.
It kind of took me a minute to like really like not be annoyed with what's her name, Kit,
Yeah,
the princess,
Mhm.
because I'm like, oh, God, here we go again. That's all I could
Yeah.
think. I was like, here we go again.
who were the little people in the original one?
Do you mean in what respect?
The not like the like 1 inch tall people. There were two of them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they were the brownies.
The brownies. That's right.
Yeah,
I wonder if they're gonna show up.
they have to, right? I mean,
I
like,
imagine they would.
yeah,
Probably can get
I-
the same actors.
just enough to get them out of that little force field they called the barrier.
Uh-huh.
Was, I'm glad they did it fast, because there's a lot of things they needed to rip the Band-Aid off, and that's kind of where I was going with where do you start this story and where do you end it? You got to rip that Band-Aid off, and you got to get past a bunch of the stuff that used to be. I think that there's 6 more episodes, so there's plenty of story to tell, and you bring in someone like the Brownies to actually, I guess, in this season, and you can involve them in every season going forward. There's going to be a lot of stuff that the balance of only having 6 episodes tells me that there's just not enough time to get everything in. And that's always how it is. Like it's, you want to tell a whole entire story, but you don't want to do it too fast. So once again, how many seasons are we going to get? What are they going to give us? With 6 episodes, I expect that, at some point she's going to learn a little bit more magic than what we actually have seen in the show so far. But, she's not going to be able to go out and be the mystical wonder right off the bat. Or at least if she is, and I'm not going to want to watch this show. They have to be able to throttle it, or else it's not going to work.
Mhm.
She got the second episode. She grew that thing. I can't remember what she was growing.
Yeah, the something berry. I can't remember what they called it either. Either way, though, I mean, it shows progress, and like the speed is fine. I'm a big soundtrack guy. I love music when it comes to just about all the stuff that we watch, and the soundtrack for the show takes me out of it. Not so much the end, more or less. Maybe it's the end tracks. Every time they do the credits,
it came out of nowhere.
Yeah. But same thing happened for like a couple episodes of Game of Thrones, and not a whole lot of people complained about it. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying like it feels weird because this movie came out in '88, and now here we are reliving it in 22 going into 23. So it's a weird thing to have. Not to mention it's a weird thing to have right now.
I thought it was odd when I was hearing they were going to do the Willow show. I was like, why? I mean, that was just. I mean, it's nothing against it, but I mean, it was just kind of like something like super random.
If they could find to make a buck out of LucasArts after they pay so much, I mean.
But I mean,
well,
I don't know, maybe
they've made all of their money back on that.
Oh, I'm sure.
But maybe it's just a fantasy aspect. I mean, because obviously, you guys with Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, and of course,
that's true.
Lord,
Rings of Power,
Rings of Power, all that kind of stuff. It's like, hey, you know what? Let's just throw all the fantasy out there. Let's reach way back and see what we can find.
And I wonder what the budget is too for this.
Oh, actually, that's a good question. I am not sure about the budget. I don't think that it is too crazy, but I believe that because number one, I haven't heard anything. Like it hasn't topped any of my headlines. I follow quite a bit of stuff, but number two, I don't think the show is actually having to give you a whole lot.
Yeah.
One of the wonderful things about Willow is that it didn't touch any of the things that like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings touch. You didn't have crazy dragons or anything else that needed to be on screen, because when it came out, none of that stuff was really capable of being put on screen very easy. So now that we're here, yes, they can do more, but man, I'm not sure what we're gonna get. The battle they tease through flash, or not, I guess, forward visions, looks like it could be something really cool and really massive, but I don't know. Like, what do you think that they could put in this that would really?
They did have that at the end of the movie where he turned the creatures into something in the original movie.
Yeah,
and they have a creature.
They have the one that keeps changing constantly throughout the movie too, where they're trying to bring her back to her human form. Yeah, but even then, you talk about the price of like CGI and VFX. I mean, that's not a tall order compared to all the other stuff that we watch. So,
yeah, I imagine Warwick Davis is probably the most expensive actor on there.
If you want to talk about someone that would probably do it for like passion project money,
I can see that.
He seems like the type of person that would be on board for anything. We got a bunch of characters that are popping up in this thing too. What's the man? I always forget the guy's name. I gotta look it up real fast. Juna Suotomo, the guy that actually plays Chewie in Star Wars, the new Star Wars movies, like he's in it. We had so far that I've seen 2 Game of Thrones actors that were in it. The woman that plays the Queen is actually the original woman from the movie, and of course Warwick. But I have to really like deep dive into the list of actual characters, but
I think
I-
his side guy was also in it, the original. Warwick.
Work's side guy.
Yeah.
Well, I know his daughter's different, but I do like that character. I do like the actress too. Like, it seems like she's doing quite a bit of work on that. So,
Is that his actual daughter? I saw them like on the carpet together or something like that.
I don't. Ooh, I don't think so. Her name is. If I can look it up real fast.
It just said like happy family and it showed.
No,
like,
it is. It is.
Oh, it is. All right.
Annabelle Davis.
Yeah,
Good
sure.
on that.
Thing.
I don't know. I'm interested. I don't know where this show is going to go, and I have zero expectations in trying to really figure it out. So I think that sometimes it makes for like a really good show when you don't have to bring all that extra into it.
Yeah. I was trying to look up the budget of this TV show.
What'd you think of? Let me run through the characters real fast, but did you really see Borman, Sarah? Other than the actual fight, the guy with the cleaver.
Like I said, the way the first episode ended, it ended with them. They finally went on started their little quest to find Willow. So the way it ended, they finally got across the gate through the barrier. Got chased by the Bone Reavers.
Oh yeah.
And then of course one of the guys looked at that dude, was like, he
Borman?
called him by name. He's like,
Yeah.
who you talking? No man, I don't know who you're talking about. And then he started wondering. I was like, what is the background on this dude? Because I'm like, I'm gonna pay attention to this guy, especially that big ass cleaver sword.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, because I mean, he had that thing beside him. That was the first thing. Once they let him out, he's like, "Where's my cleaver?" Home sleeping with it. I mean, the whole 9 yards. So he's gonna be a character I'm gonna watch, because that's gonna be your color right there.
Yeah, I liked him.
But basically, it ended with them. They finally got up to Willow, and there was like this one other little guy that was like, "We're looking for Willow." He's like, "Oh, that's me." And then finally, you got Willow that pops out, and you see Warwick Davis. Like, she's like, "Oh my God, there he is!" Oh, looks the absolute same. I mean, of course, a little older, but just looks just the same.
Watch the second episode. You get to see him with the goat of goatees.
I was very confused by that when I saw him with the
But then that's when he finally walks up to Dove, which we only see her. I'd only just seen her as Eric's girlfriend, basically. And then I started thinking, I was like, because like I said, it's been a while since I've seen the movie, so I was trying to put a lot of two and two together. But then when he walked up to her arm, I said, "That's her. That's her. That's her. That's her." And boom, that was, and that's how it ended. So,
I like I think that the banter back and forth between Eric and what is Kit?
yeah.
I think that the brother and sister part is a little bit of fun. Yeah, it doesn't really feel like it doesn't feel time appropriate, and that's probably I don't want to say like my biggest qualm with it, because I haven't seen where it's going to go yet. But it's fun to see.
But I believe that's I can't remember Val Kilmer's character's name, but I believe that's his kids.
Mad Mardigan, yeah.
I believe that's his kids 100%.
Yep. Yeah, I think that if there's a way to portray it, they are doing it pretty well.
Yes,
I think that the sassiness and the just the way that they are with people works out really well. So
yeah, because and what's the mother's name? Because she was the Sorsha.
Yeah,
something along those lines. Dude, the way she was looking at those kids, I'm like, oh, I feel you, lady, because yeah, y'all probably like,
go to bed.
That's there right there.
Yeah.
But and then also the fella that she was supposed to marry.
Oh,
Flash
yes.
Thompson.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. That dude, it was so funny because my husband and I, we were watching that, and when he was like reading the words on the wall, and just like how you had that first trimmer, and he
Mhm.
kept going. Brian
Stop.
looks at me, he's like, "Don't you think the first one would have given you the?"
Yep. Stop talking. Stop talking.
So yeah, so that's going to be interesting. But I think that's what you've got this build up, and I thought the first episode was really good to give you that little bit of background. So it kind of like, okay, just let's quick refresh. Here we are now.
Yep.
And now I'm ready to get into like the magical aspect. I want to start seeing that because that's kind of what I remember more so.
I was trying to look up the budget for it. I couldn't find it, but I also see that Christian Slater's supposed to be in it.
One episode. He is on it for one episode, is what I
Wow.
saw.
I haven't seen him in anything.
He does so much voice work. It's ridiculous. And he does so much voice work for Star Wars properties.
Really?
He is in almost every single one of the Star Wars Lego properties.
I've never seen those movies.
Well, there anything. I always look at like the casting of all those things because it's interesting to see. If you ever play IP chess, these people start bringing in characters that do voice acting, and so to see Christian Slater do a bunch of Star Wars Lego voice acting stuff, whether it be shows or movies, it's interesting to see how long it's going to take him to get from voice acting to like a live action role somewhere down the line. I'm kind of waiting to see what that's going to be because I don't know what it is. We get the weirdest connections in all of these universes. Mark Hamill was in the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. You get all of these little tidbits of little things that are sprinkled throughout.
It's all connected.
I know it is. It's weird. It's fun. It's fun to play that. If you ever go do true geek trivia, it's fun to have all that stuff in your back pocket. Versus the other trivia, which is not all true geek trivia.
I went to a Star Wars trivia. One of the questions was, what was the door for Luke Skywalker's? And what was the second one called? Last Jedi for his hut. It was like a door from a plane or like a ship. What was the ship? I was like, what the fuck?
I was like, how specific?
It was like a ship door that opened up to where he was living on the island.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't even know. I just guessed. I said X-Wing. They said, yep. All right.
Huh. Okay.
It was the X-Wing door that actually opened up to it.
Oh, yeah, that he actually pulled off and put on. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't even. I just guessed X-Wing. I was like, that's the only thing I could think of.
Here's the thing. I see people that are supposed to be that they put out job listings for Trivia Masters all the time, and I couldn't imagine walking in there and be like, "You need to make something that's all these trivia questions." I'd be like, "Are you sure you want me to do that?" Because I'm not. I don't know if I start digging out references, people are going to want to hit me in the face. So let's not do that. No.
Yeah, then you'll question really how much you know.
Yep.
Because it's like, yeah, I know. I don't know. I don't. Not at all. It's like we're not getting to like the black market kind of like deep dark web shit.
I love trivia, but everyone's got their own take on it. That's the thing. But
oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what else to say about Willow. You got to watch the second episode, Sarah.
Yeah,
I don't want to spoil too much. Not that there's like a whole lot to spoil, but
How
it
often
looks
are
like
they releasing this? What's the release days?
it
Is that
should
they
be
got the
weekly
first
Wednesday.
two? Okay.
I think they do all their shows on Wednesdays now, right?
Not all, but Wednesday and Thursday are Disney Plus drop days, and so I think it really just depends on how many things they have going at one time. Because She-Hulk was Thursday,
Yeah.
but She-Hulk also ran in tandem with.
Oh yeah, was it Star Wars? Was it a Star Wars show?
Yeah, but and Andor's had started when She-Hulk was ending, I think.
It might have been.
Either way, they have a Wednesday and Thursday drop. Is when they do all their stuff. Was it HBO tends to be Thursday for a bunch of their stuff, or Sunday, and then Paramount tends to be Thursday, for just about. I don't watch a whole lot on Paramount other than Star Trek stuff, so Thursday tends to be all of their stuff. And then Netflix is whenever they want to. Tends to be Wednesday and Friday. But either way, man, we 6 more episodes. I would assume that this is going to get picked up for a second one because, to Kev's point, I don't think the budget is extremely high on this show.
Mm-mm.
And I think
I
that will
wouldn't think
allow
so.
them to keep pushing it forward.
I don't think we're talking on Rings of Power here.
Oh,
No.
hell no.
Yeah,
Even then, with that kind of budget, I expected more from that show.
I do too.
I want to see what they do with it. I'm really afraid that. Well, to this point, let's talk about another property. Avatar is coming out.
Yeah.
James Cameron said that Avatar is not going to be profitable if they don't cross the $2 billion mark. That's not going to happen.
No.
I don't know if anyone keeps up with box office numbers, but that won't happen. That movie will be lucky to cross $1 billion, and that's only because it happens to also open up in China at the same time.
Well, that's the thing about Avatar too. I just hope it hasn't missed its mark because it's been so long since the first one. And I mean, I know they've re-released them in the theaters because we actually went back and saw it. And it's like I've got kind of mixed reviews on the second one is because I like those first ones so much. I mean, I know a lot of people, I know I've seen people say, oh, well, it hasn't aged well. Visually, it's always been stunning to me. It's always caught my eye.
Yeah.
And I've always followed it. I mean, like I said, saw it not too long ago. It's still like, what, a 3-hour damn movie. And I'm like, it's still mesmerizing. So I'm really hoping the second one does the same thing. I'm really hoping, but I just don't know if it'll hit the mark like the first one did. I just don't know.
I'll be interested to see the box office numbers on that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so many people are interested in it.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
And it's coming out around
thing
Christmas.
like
I feel like it's trying to hit on that. Look, I am and always have been a big Star Wars fan. And I think Star Wars struck gold coming out around Christmas. And when they talked about changing that back to a May release, I really kind of got sad. And not only that, I've heard a lot of people in the community saying the same exact thing.
Yeah.
When it came out around Christmas, that was a big thing because Christmas is not a big time for box office numbers. And now it seems like some people are really trying to gamble and really play to that tune again. I don't know if Avatar has it. Not only that, I'm not really taken aback by anything that I've seen in the trailer.
Yeah.
No.
That's what worries me is that, the first one was so groundbreaking. Like you said, the 3D technology was to a point.
Well, I mean, transferred. I mean, it took you to a new world.
Yeah.
And that was to me, that was the selling point. I mean, it's, the characters and that kind of thing.
The whole thing seemed like it added a whole new sense to like humanity. Like it just came out of nowhere and was able to do something, and it was good. I won't rob it of like its proper accolades. Like when it came out, it was really good. But you're right, it's been over a decade, and they're going to try to do this again. Not only are they going to try to do this, the word is that 2 and 3 are filmed. 2 obviously is about to come out in 2 weeks. 4 is in the process of being shot or worked, and 5, the script is already done.
That's just insane to me, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about how much of these movies are VFX.
You got to give him credit. I mean, he's got a plan, and damn, he ain't sticking through it.
Well, he's had plenty of time for that plan, so
Yeah. They announced the sequel like right after the first one came out.
Did they announce it then?
I think so. I think they were talking about, we might do a sequel coming up.
They should have done it, and they should have done it fast. I wish that they kind of, if you would have put 3 years between these movies, that would have been perfectly viable for most people. And now that you're going to come back and really try to, to stamp your name back into, popularity.
Yeah.
Well, see, and that's the thing about it too, because even though I enjoy it so much, I still feel like it's kind of dated now. I mean, I know that it's like it was like the newer technology,
The 3D factor too, I think, was really big when that came out. So like a lot of people are going to see
It was
3D
almost
movies.
perfected.
Yeah.
Almost, well, maybe not perfected, but it was at
Take
its
it
like
to another
max
level.
point. Yeah.
So
I don't know.
know.
We'll see. Next week we transition from Titans to Doom Patrol. Sarah, I know you're not as big of a Doom Patrol fan as I am.
Well, you have a
fucking
different type
love
of
Doom Patrol.
humor than I do too. So
I am ready for Doom Patrol. I was a big fan of Titans back in the first week when they gave me that double episode drop, and then they came out with a flop for me the next week. I'm not saying that the whole thing's a flop yet because I haven't seen it to completion, but I'm ready for Doom Patrol. I am excited to see what they do. Not to mention,
I'm not
Just-
excited to see the butts come out of the gate, though. I'm not excited
Oh,
for that.
yes,
I'm
you
like,
are.
can you at least hold that off to like the
Those
second
were
episode?
amazing.
you want to see it again? You want to see it again?
No, but I'm interested to see what they do with this season. I'm sure it's going to be I'm sure it's going to be pretty wild.
Yeah. But
I
that's
just want to
really
be
it. We got
surprised.
that.
I don't want to go too back.
Um,
That's what I enjoy about that. It's like I don't need a recap. Just throw me in it. Just head first. Just let me.
They're going to.
I know.
That's how Doom Patrol rolls.
I know.
Zack Snyder, he just finished wrapping a movie called Rebel Moon.
Yep.
It was actually a Star Wars plot. They tried to get pitched for them, and he was bringing it to Netflix.
He had it pitched for like 2 weeks, I think, and then like they just turned it down.
Yeah, I think he's doing like 1 or 2 movies now. They already planned. Be interesting.
Yeah, they wrapped. I don't know. Did they give any indication to a release date for that or like a time frame?
No, I just saw that they wrapped production like today or yesterday.
I don't know. I know that everything that I've heard out of that camp has been pretty good so far. So if they come out and see if they wrap now, they could potentially come out summer, fall of next year, depending on the amount like VFX and stuff that go into it.
It'd be interesting to see that.
I'm all for it. I mean, even if it was meant to be in like the Star Wars universe, you know, if you call it original, like I'm game to see it. Some of the stuff that I've seen, you know, I constantly screw with Greg on this show and talk about how he needs to go watch The Expanse because the things that come out of the woodwork are just amazing to me. And even though a lot of it's based on books, even the stuff that just comes out of nowhere can be absolutely phenomenal. But beyond, we got Avatar 2 on the 16th. There's a movie I have on Netflix comes out on the 16th. Jack Ryan on the 21st. December is going to start to. I know you're going to have to go back. Have you watched Jack Ryan?
Yes.
All of it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
'Cause one of my co-hosts watched stuff and the other one doesn't.
No, when it comes to like that stuff, yeah, I was all about Jack Ryan because I remember seeing that because they've already got the 2 seasons. I remember seeing the 3rd. I was like, yes.
They did just drop another trailer for it.
So it comes out the 21st. Okay.
21st. Yep.
I think
It's always been a Christmas thing. It's always been right around the holidays.
Yeah, that's one. I wonder how they're going to release it. You reckon it'll be weekly? They're gonna drop it all?
No, in the past it's always been whole season.
That's what I thought.
But
hell, how long has it been since the last one came out?
That's what I was just trying to figure out. I don't think they released one last year.
I think
So the 2 years before that, maybe.
I know it's been a minute, but it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, that sounds right. They could have done that.
I love Krasinski as Ryan. Oh, I love it. I love it.
I didn't know how well I was going to be able to buy it the first time, but the first season did a real good job of pitching him without any problems, and I thought that was really good. So,
well, I like the way they introduced him, the way they brought him in instead of it just being a straight field agent. It was you kind of worked your way up to it, and there was some pretty. I mean, both seasons I enjoyed both of them.
That's another thing I haven't watched yet.
You haven't watched Jack Ryan?
No, not yet.
I recommend it. It's good. It's really good.
Isn't that Paramount? Or
Amazon.
Amazon, yeah.
Yeah, they came out, and I was not a fan of the Jack Ryan movie with Tom Cruise. Was it?
That's the Harrison Ford. You're talking about Clear and Present Danger?
I think
No.
there's
No.
another Tom
Oh,
Clancy.
are you talking about Reacher? No.
Reacher. I know what you're talking
Jack
about.
Ryan, that was Harrison Ford, like Clear and Present Danger, and
Yeah. But I'm thinking
You're
of
thinking of the guy he was in Titans as a.
well, that was Reacher as well.
Oh.
Oh man, I know what I'm thinking of, but it is.
Yep, tip your tongue. I get it.
It's gonna kill me every single time. Jack
Please.
Ryan show came out in 18. Shadow Recruit. Chris Pine, and Kevin Costner. That's the one I was thinking of. Not really not what I wanted out of something. Like it was an okay movie, but if you're gonna have something about that character, just like Reacher was better with
I can never remember his name either. Yeah. The Hawk.
It was so much better as a series. And Jack Ryan does the same exact thing. So to have a whole entire show, not to mention now that you're going to be 3 seasons in, it does the legwork, and not only does it does it phenomenally. Like, I think that Krasinski does a great job pulling off the fact that you can envision him as I believe he was a Marine, former Marine, or was he? I'm pretty sure he was a Marine. He was in the helicopter, right? Whenever all that stuff happened to him. And so he's got a past. He goes into CIA, and then he is working his way through not even the ranks, but just the twisted stories that you can get out of evil people, knowing about them through the CIA.
Well, he's an analyst, wasn't he?
He was an analyst, yes.
Yeah,
he was actually a financial analyst, is what he was. And so he was able to tell all these stories and make it work out really well. It's a good series. So give it a shot. The 21st, the 3rd season comes out. I don't know how much time and everything else you have invested into it, but
yeah, I got nothing to watch right now, so
I go back and watch a bunch of old stuff. Like I'm still with. I'm not gonna get to it tonight with Greg falling off, but I think I made it up to. I'm almost done with the rewatch of season 3 of Game of Thrones. So if we talk about it next week, I may be able to try to get much higher up.
I'm not gonna be able to talk about it.
Yeah,
Greg was yelling at me. I was like, "There's just so much stuff."
I just finished watching all the seasons. I think a couple days ago.
Really?
I just I started after House of Dragon ended. I think I started a month after that ended.
I keep telling Greg, I've gone back and watched Game of Thrones, rewatched Game of Thrones before every new season came out since season 3 or season 4. And so I would just rewatch and then add the new one on, and then rewatch before the next one came out, and then add the new one on. And I did that so many times because a lot of people I'd known have not watched all of it, much less have not watched it, period. And so it's always that introduction thing. It's like, you never watched Game of Thrones? Stop what you're doing.
I try to get my friends to watch it. They still won't watch it.
You try to get Sarah to watch it.
Well, the thing about it is, it's just I was so spoiled with House of the Dragon because I like the way that the story was told visually. Mm-hmm. And with Game of Thrones, like I said, I've only watched the first episode and a half of the first season, and it's just so. There's a lot of things. It's like I enjoy a story, but there's some things I don't need thrown in my face, and I think that's what I'm having trouble with. It's like a lot of the visuals. I don't know. I guess just House of Dragon was a little more eloquent in the way that things were. I mean, there's just I don't need a bunch of. I don't know. I mean, I'll get through it eventually. It's just there's just some things that I myself have to just work through.
It's a very graphic show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then another thing
aspect.
too, like I said, the first Kevin's like I told Ross and Greg. I think that at that point in time when I was watching it, I just don't think I was in a place mentally where I needed to see it, because at the first mention of they were going to take a dire wolf out, and when it comes to animals, I'm out. I've got to be in a certain mindset because I get too emotional over shit like that. It's that's just me. That's just
Look,
one
I
of
don't
my
think-
chinks in my
I
armor.
don't think they showed it, did they?
But let's be honest. You want to talk about the numbers of how many people the direwolves take out versus
But,
Yeah.
but that's the
being
thing
taken
about
out?
it. But that's like I said, that's just my little chink in the armor. It's just like, eventually I know House and Dragon, they're going to start taking the dragons out. And I'm just like, hey, you can kill people all day long. I mean, I can get over that. I mean, I'm like, whatever. I'm like, that asshole, yeah, he deserved that shit, take him out. But I mean, when it comes, that's just always been my chink. I mean, it's just, it's like, if you see a Humane Society commercial come on, I'm like, oh, I got to change it. I got to change it. And especially when I was at home with my children, right after I had them and I couldn't move and I'm sitting there like, it's just, that's just the chink in my armor. I mean, it's just, I can't.
You never seen John Wick then?
Mm-mm.
Oh yeah, that's the whole premise of that thing. The whole entire premise of why John Wick starts going to kill people is because someone killed his dog.
But see, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, there's just certain things that I have certain triggers, and that's one of my triggers, and it's really hard to get through a lot of stuff. I think I blame it on Old Yeller.
I started rewatching it, and
I blame it on Old Yeller. I swear I do.
I watched one of the dudes get his nipple fucking cut off, and I was like, oh my, ow, dude, like for real. I don't know, man. There's so many things in Game of Thrones. It does everything, like
Yeah.
almost everything.
I will say
It's
that
amazing.
the most graphic thing I've seen out of House of Dragons and Game of Thrones is that, I guess you call it a stillbirth of Rhaenyra. And that baby hit the ground. I was like, oh my God.
See, that's the thing about it. And that's what a lot of people were like, oh my God, that didn't bother me.
And I saw that baby. I was like, oh my, that was probably the most disturbing thing I've seen.
We all have our things. I don't know what to tell you, Sarah.
Well, I mean, like I said, when it comes to childbirth, I mean, that doesn't stress me out at all.
All that I can say is that you may not like it as much as Greg, but you will like it.
And I think eventually I'll get there. I think eventually I will. But it's just, there's just.
Has Brian watched it?
Mm-mm.
No? Did he watch House of Dragon?
Mm-mm.
What are you guys doing in the house?
We watch things separately. I mean, we just have. He's a gamer, dude. He does video games. That's his release at night. That's what he does. He's like, get the kids to bed. I'm shooting some shit, because like right now, I don't even know what he's playing. And what's so funny is years ago, when my son was, oh my God, I don't even know if he, yeah. It's like he got into Destiny because he's always played Halo and then Destiny, and now Gage is playing Destiny. And I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, what?
There's two of you?
It's crazy. It's, and I hear them talk about that. I'm just like before I got on with you guys, I went upstairs to get Cheetor because it was up in Gage's room because he has them all. He made sure to complete his collection. And he was in the midst of, I said, what are you doing? He's like, I'm creating another hunter. I'm like, oh, no, I'm sorry. It's, that's the one that Brian does. He was the warlock. He's like, I'm creating another warlock. I'm like, shit. Of all the years I gave Brian hell about that. Spin metal and all that shit. And I'm like, really? Oh my God. Ingrams. That's all I ever heard. I was like, oh my God. I never played the shit, but I know about it.
Screw House of Dragons. We are the house of fun.
Oh, and speaking of video games, one of my favorites, never played, but I loved watching it, was Gears of War. And if Batista, I know you've seen it. Because that would be another fan casting passion right there. I'm like, dude, just grab hold of it the way The Rock did Black Adam and just make it happen.
The next 6 years. Yeah, the next 5 or 6 years, I imagine that could happen without a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's just got to happen. It's got to happen.
They're going to be
as a series, not as a movie.
Yeah, I mean, maybe kind of like the way they did Halo. I mean, I could, see it kind of like that. But then again, I don't. If you come up with something good, I mean, you could, potentially could do a movie. I
think that the wonderful thing that streaming has given us is the ability for people to use their properties in a way
Mhm.
that is blockbuster-esque. Like, it's very much their ability and their time and their circle to build their own
Mhm.
thing, make their own money, and keep it pretty big. I just don't know. We're still kind of in. I don't want to say we're in the infancy, but we're still in the newness of it all, because with all the new streaming services happening and coming together, even then the merging and everything else that all of them are doing, you see things that are happening really well. Like The Last of Us is about to show up on HBO in January. We're about to go into the heyday of games. It's about to be nonstop. Borderlands is having a movie that's coming out.
Really?
We're about to get
Oh,
Dungeons and
yeah.
Dragons.
I wanted to see a what's it called? BioShock. Yeah. Or movie.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see some concept for that.
I mean, I can't believe we got a Rampage movie.
Yeah. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of stuff coming up on the horizon, not to mention all the other stuff that we don't know about yet. So,
Very true.
Well,
I
Ross,
know.
since I have you, let's talk a little Prodigy.
oh.
Now,
Kev,
I haven't seen this. I haven't seen the
Yeah,
most
I
recent
haven't
one.
seen any of this. I think this is where I take my leave, sirs, madam.
No,
I was going to ask you what your Star Trek fandom is. So,
I appreciate y'all having me.
yeah.
See y'all later.
If you want to be found, you can tell people where they can find
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
No, I don't want to be found.
I found you,
I'm
though.
with
I found you.
Yeah, you know.
Yes, anybody, if you want to find Kevin, just let us know. We'll send little messages for you. So.
All right,
Keep
I'll
up
see
with
y'all-
Greg. Come back for the Game of Thrones talk when we get to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely.
Definitely.
All right, man. Have a good
All
night.
right, bye, guys. Yeah.
Do it.
Well, I know you said it was something because I didn't realize they were dropping new episodes, honestly, until I
Mhm.
happened to pull it up. I was like, let's see. I was like, oh, I got some episodes. And now I see they've got one now, too. I was like, I'm really liking the little story they're rolling with here. I mean, they're pulling Janeway like hardcore back in here. I'm like, what?
It is a lot more well put together than the first half of this season was, because this is still considered season 1.
Yeah.
And the first half of it, with the introduction of all this new characters and all this new animation and everything else they were trying to do, it was it wasn't almost. It was too kiddish. But
Mhm.
it wasn't too kiddish in anything other than the fact that they didn't have enough Star Trek stuff to like ground you in the universe.
Mhm.
They're bringing all that in now. Not only are they bringing it in, I mean,
They're
they're
name
bringing,
dropping.
they're doing everything. I mean, this past week, this newest one, had a little bit more of the culmination of the story of trying to figure out what the what is he called? The Diviner? Is that his name?
Mhm.
He's starting to make sense of things. You see a little bit more Chakotay. There's a whole lot that's going on. And the fact that they are actually taking their main character,
Mhm.
what is his name?
Oh, you talking
Is it
about
Dow?
Dow.
Dow, however you say it. And now they're bringing him all the way back to Sung, and I'm like,
Yeah, because that was name dropped in like the last week's episode.
Yeah.
I was like, what? And that's kind of like you and I were kind of like talking about. I was like, well, because especially when they started talking about any kind of genetic engineering.
Mhm.
So because that was Dow's big thing too. He's like, oh, I can find out who I am, where I came from, that kind of thing. Every kid, they've got to, find themselves. And it was like the typical, but yeah, especially when they started saying that. And then when they dropped Zoom's name, I was like, there you go. It's like, let's see an iteration here. Let's see how that goes, because there's been a Zoom iteration in almost every damn thing. I mean, that's just a given.
The first half of this season, the actor came out and was talking on, whether it be Ready Room or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like making it a point to be like, we don't know who this character is. He's brand new. We know nothing about him. And like now they start dropping this kind of knowledge. I'm like, okay, well, now it's all connected again.
Exactly. No, but
It's fun.
It's just really interesting to see how it's evolving because, like I said, when we first talked about when the first few episodes, it was, just trying to get off the ground, and there was a lot of, you're trying to figure these backstories. Everybody's meeting each other. You're trying to create this little group, and then of course having the Janeway hologram that kind of pulled you back in a little bit too, and then you were learning about the ship and. Especially with what's her name? The Diviner's daughter.
Oh, I'm not good with names on this show. That's
but I mean, you're trying to get her backstory too, and then of course, figuring out with the Diviner because as alluding to, there's another story, and now everything's starting to come together. So I'm really impressed of how it is coming together. Albeit it is a kids show basically, but then also. But then you pull in the real Janeway. So now she's on a manhunt because she's thinking.
Admiral.
Then you find out that I guess Chakotay was the captain of the Protostar, and you're like, where did that come from? Because obviously you pull from Voyager. Hey, you've got my full and undivided attention. Yep. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. Now, and I kind of feel for because it's hard for me to realize it's like they are kids. Mm-hmm. They are kids, and it's like they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna find Star Trek. So and then when they finally find who they're looking for, they're like, oh shit, they're not happy with us. They think we're the bad guys, and so
this past episode even brought a little bit to that. This past episode was a bunch of. Did you watch the past one this week?
I have not, but I will once we get off of here. So
they do a little bit of like going into the character. Diving a little bit, but not only that, there's a little bit of they're coming to the point where they realize that they're kids and that not all of this was meant to be done in a negative way,
right?
So
because ultimately, I mean, they're once they find out what the deal is with the Protostar and why it was created and what was what's going on with that. I mean, they're trying to protect. I mean, they have learned a bit, albeit from the Janeway hologram, but, they have had some form of training in their own little way. So it's like they're trying to protect. And it's like, and that's what I'm hoping at some point it will turn. And hopefully, maybe in this episode, it will kind of maybe turn a little bit.
We'll see. We'll see what they do. I think that I don't want to spoil too much, but there's enough episodes to make it really interesting.
Because we're already 16 episodes in. I wonder how many are supposed to be total.
I think that they're going to do like the 22, 23 plot for some reason. I don't know why I have that in my head, but
because when was the split?
Oh, a while back.
10. I think it went
10.
Yeah, I think the episode 10 aired like February, and then the 11th episode was like October. So maybe we have like another 4. If they're going to do like a 20, maybe like a 10-10 split. I don't know.
Either way, it's interesting. It's a good little watch, and you can watch it with anyone, anywhere. So,
it's gotten a lot better. Like I said, it's actually evolved into a right tight little story. So we'll see how it goes. But anyways, with that, I don't know about you, but I'm tired.
Let's bounce. Tell them the deets.
Yeah, if anybody wants to find me, you can find me on the Twitter at My Lady Kitten. I'm probably going to be geeking the hell out over some Transformers, and yeah, so excited, so excited. Of course,
and really, it's not that far off.
Yeah, but then I mean, we've got some Star Trek coming out. What, first of the year too?
Oh, you get Picard.
Yeah, exactly.
Picard comes out Valentine's Day.
And I know they wrapped Discovery. I know that. I remember seeing that a couple of weeks ago. They finally wrapped it. So hopefully they'll go ahead and
season 5, right?
Put a nice little bow on that. So
bring it on. I'm up for all of it.
Absolutely. And of course, Ross, you're
here. Nowhere. I'm right here. You can find me here if you're lucky.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll be lucky if you're here.
All right, man. Well, you have a good one, and we'll chat later.
All right. Later, Sarah, and everyone else.